that will help us understand what we need to do better. Please, if you are unmuted, please mute yourself so that you don't distract others, as we've said at the beginning of the session. Okay, all right, I'm not sharing my screen again. Can anyone see my screen? I don't think so.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, all right, thanks. I'm trying to put it in presentation mode, not getting it up. Okay. All right, so we'll look at quickly. We just want to know what a project board is, what is the purpose, what do we use it for, what is Azure DevOps itself, and then we go into I'll take us through the different areas that we're going to cover tonight. Okay, so a project board is the project boards. They are centralized resources that provide visuals and transparency for the team's workflow, and it increases the effectiveness in managing the work. Okay, so they are collaborative tools that a team can use. It can be digital, it can be on-site. The on-site ones are, you can have like something like a whiteboard that the team will collaborate on and things like that. For digital ones, they are much better, much advanced. Please, can we stay muted? Thank you. So they are much.
To know the weight of some puzzles and.
Okay, so I was explaining about the project board. It's a tool. It's a collaborative tool that you use, that the whole team use, and what it gives you, it provides visibility for everyone. Everyone will be able to see what we're doing, what everyone is working on. There's transparency. It helps you also to see how your work is progressing as a team. Okay, that's what your project board is for. And the purpose of the project board is for the team to be able to interact. It helps us to plan. It helps you to track. It helps you to review what you have done, and then to help you also to manage the project to achieve the defined goal within the timeline for that particular project. When you see what is going on, you know what is moving, fast, what is moving at a slow pace, and then how you plan and you collaborate on how you can improve the process that you're using to work. All that is visible and transparent on your project board. Okay, so Azure DevOps now. Azure DevOps is a website that can be accessed through a web browser, which provides a set of integrated features that can be used in planning, developing, and maintaining a software development lifecycle. Okay, so Azure DevOps has gone beyond just software development team. Basically, I think almost all industries now have access to use it. Some service providing organizations or teams also use it for their own project also. So it's not just software developers or development team alone that are using it. So it's used basically, almost everywhere. And it's a cloud computing platform. It's provided by Microsoft, is owned by Microsoft, and it can be accessed from anywhere in the world. Okay, so that's where if you have a team that is not co-located, if you have remote teams, they're able to work together using a collaborative tool like Azure DevOps. Okay, so we have another called Jira, which I think you will be taking through. But the one we're setting up this night is Azure DevOps. And like I said, it's owned by Microsoft. Okay, and it provides an opportunity for every team member to be able to work together no matter where you are, no matter your geographical location. You'll still be able to see what everyone is doing, transparency of the work that is being carried out, and then being able to collaborate together because we can see, what everyone is working on. Okay, so Having said that, let me just explain that when you join an organization, as you've joined Blue Sky Citadel, okay, this is an organization, and as you've joined and you started your internship, you are added as a user to the organization's Azure board, okay, with your registered email address. So the email address that you've provided, we've used that to add you to the organization. That's why some people are saying, okay, they follow the process, they get to a point, and then they're saying something and all that, which I would explain what is going on very soon for you. But you know, when you get into an organization, the first set of, or the first team you deal with is either the personnel or the HR. Okay, you can't just be employed and then you just go in and start working. There are some, they give you your pass, your, what is it called now, ID card, which you can use to go into the organization. They set you up, let's put it that way. And that is what the organization also does with Azure DevOps. So we've received your email, we've added you to the organization and all that, where you'll be working. By the time you meet either your line manager, whosoever is going to take you to your team's group and everything and all that, they show you where you're going to sit, where you're going to work, your team members and everything. And that's what we want to do also digitally with Azure DevOps. So you've been added to the organization. We've added you to the organization with the email that you have registered with that has been done already. So this night I'm just going to be like a facility, no, not facility, one of the facilities personnel in the organization, taking you through how your collaborative board is going to look like. That is part of what we want to do this night by setting up an Azure, showing you how you can set up your project on Azure. Okay, so normally in an organization, when you start working in an organization, there's every possibility that they have it already, especially if that organization is already working using Agile methodology already. They've already have the Azure board set up already. If you're just joining a team that has already been formed and you're just joining them, they have the board already. But it will be good for you as a Scrum Master or any role to understand how the board works, so that when you go there, you're not too lost, let me put it that way, in not knowing what is going on or what they're talking about. Okay, in my own organization, I happen to be fortunate to work in an organization that uses Azure DevOps. And even now they call me to say, oh, Moji, do you know how to do this and everything and other? But thank God, because I've learned a lot about Azure DevOps at Blue Sky and everything, I could show off to them and everything and all that, all you have to do is do this and that and everything. So that's why we take you through this practical process, because these are the things you will meet out there, when you go and work. Even if it's another collaborative tool that you end up using, they're similar. You'll be able to pick one or two things that are similar. In them, the names might be different, just a few things are different, but you'll still be able to catch on based on the one that you have learned already. Okay, so that is Azure DevOps, and there are different features of when we start creating things on it. So for this tonight's training, we're going to cover this area. So as you can see, we have a bit of area to cover, and that's why we need to try as much as possible to cover as much as you can. I would love us to cover everything, but I also understand that this is a new area for you, and I can't just rush you through. There's no need rushing you through, even if there's a video. If you don't get, one or two things out of what I'm explaining. So that's why I said at every process. So I'm taking each bullet point as a process. I've asked every process. When I finish, I'll stop and ask if there's any question. If there's none, we go on. If there is, if we can, again, just limit it so that we can cover a lot. So we'll be looking at how to create your board, how to create your project, how to invite your team members onto your project, how to create an inherited process. I will explain what that is when we get there, how to change team process to the created inherited process, dashboard setting, your change default setting on iteration, your team configuration, your backlog navigation level, don't worry about all the things I'm saying. By the time we go through it and you start using it, you keep understanding more. Okay, we configure the project board to include more columns. We configure PBI and okay, we configure PBI and bug card to include more fields. Customize work item types. You have your PBI. PBI is called product backlog item. You have the bug, the tag, they're all work items. We'll see how we can customize them with needed fields, layout, and state. We create and add widgets to our dashboard. Okay, and then we also look at how we can get widgets from the extension gallery. We'll create a wiki page. I'll tell you what the wiki page is, what you can use it for, and then we'll set up the retrospective board also. Okay, so you can see that quite a lot that we need to cover. Okay, so normally when you are invited to an organization, this is an email that you get. Okay, an email telling you that you've been invited to a project in Azure DevOps. And then it will tell you that you can join. So this normally is what you click on to join the organization. And then once you click on this, it takes you on to the process that you need to go through. Okay, to join. It's a very user-friendly one, so you won't get stuck or have anything and all that. So this is the URL to the organization that you will be linked to. This is just to let the people that have not joined the organization yet through the invite that has been sent, to just see the few things, just like if I can put it kind of some few marks, major marks that you will see that will tell you that you are on the right track. Okay, that's the URL that the join now should take you to. And then you go through the process of putting in your email, your password, and all that and everything. The moment you get to this part, was the part that Rose was talking about earlier on, where it tells you, oops, something went wrong. Don't mind Azure, nothing went wrong, or maybe I should say Microsoft. But what this is just telling you, right, is that you're on the organization already, you're on Azure already, because if you look at the top left corner over here, you will see the Blue Sky Citadel intent. That tells you, once you see that tells you you're already inside Azure. Why you are seeing this sign saying, oops, something went wrong, you are not able to do this, you don't have permission to do this, reach out, is because you are not on the project board yet. Remember, you've been joined to the organization, but you've not been taken to your team's office or anything like that yet. So even when I join an organization and I'm at the reception, you're at the ground floor at the reception and all that, they say, oh, welcome. And then everybody turns their face up. You wouldn't know where to go through. So you would just be standing looking and wondering, what next? Who's taking me to, where I ought to be? That is where you are over here. So don't be worried if you see this. And I've just put this in the training also because I get loads of email. Something is wrong, I can't access, he's telling me this, he's telling me that. So that's why I'm just assuring everyone that once you get here, know that you're at the right place. So just be patient, because after this training is when your Scrum Masters will come together to use this video to create your project board. So you have to give them the time to do that and then add you to it. And then when you go back on, then you're able to see your project board. Okay, so don't be alarmed. Once you see this, you're on the right track. Okay, so having said that, let's go now to the board itself, and then I'll start off with, please bear with me. Sorry. Hey, just going to share my screen again. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So, like I said, this is about showing us how to create the project board. So normally, if you're already on a project, you would land on this place or inside your project. But this is now the organization. You can see Blue Sky Citadel team. That is the person that has invited you. In the email we saw in the PowerPoint, that is the organization that is inviting you. Okay, so for Scrum Masters, okay, so before I go further, let me also say quickly here as a disclaimer that in most organizations, the Scrum Masters are the ones that create the project board. And you will have permission to do that. Most organizations, once you enter and you put on the organization, there is a limited permission that you have, okay, so that people don't go, clicking on things and breaking things. So the Scrum Masters are given a higher permission and admin permission, if I can put it that way, in order to be able to create the project board. They are the ones that do it. And normally what we do before is to just take the Scrum Masters through this training, but we felt it would benefit everyone to have an understanding of the project, because you're going to be working also on the project board. So it's better for you to have an understanding of what you'll be doing. All right. So before I go into creating the project board itself, the first process, like we see, was create a project on Azure DevOps, the project board on Azure DevOps. Do we have any questions? I'm going to just take one, please, just one. And let it be based on the training we're doing, nothing that has to do with the videos you can't see or anything like that. Okay, I can see hands being raised, but I don't know who is raising the hand. So
I'm raising a hand.
okay, please, your name and then your question.
My name is Ijoma IJ, Scrum Master. And I wanted to ask, the project board, is it the same thing as whiteboard?
No, your whiteboard is different from your project board, even though they are both collaborative tools. So on your
Okay.
project board, you'll be able to, okay, so when we go through it, you understand why it's different. On
Okay.
your whiteboard, you can have sticky notes and things like that, and then share the link with your team members and tell them, oh, put this there, why don't we do this and all that. So your whiteboard is a collaborative tool, but your project board is much, much deeper than that. Your project board is like saying, this is your digital office, if I can put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 All right. So to create your project, okay, so like I said, this is where you land. And then
Sorry, I'm raising my hand. Sorry.
okay, that's the last question we'll take before we go into the next.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Just a quick one.
Quickly, yeah.
On the Azure DevOps, it's still showing create a project name. So have we not been created yet, or it's still the same?
Where did you see the creative project name?
When I log into the Azure DevOps, the link they sent to me, it's still telling me create a project to get started.
Yeah,
Like,
so
is that still
until once you are there, yeah, you are the right time. But because your project have not been created yet.
Oh, okay.
Scrum Masters
Okay.
have not created the project yet, so you won't be able to see anything further than that. Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Okay, so once I'm just gonna take myself. This is a team. We're all a team together, yeah, for this night process and all that. I'm the Scrum Master, and I want to create a project board for our team. Okay, so once you're here, you come to the left over here. I'll keep shaking my cursor so that you can see where I'm going. Or it's not on your left, on your right, the top right here. Yeah, you can see this in blue, the blue box and the white text saying new project. So if you click on that, it brings this window up for me that says create new project. Okay, so and then the first thing you need to put in is your project's name. So that your project name is also your team's name. So let's say our team tonight is team, and what should we call ourselves now? Team September. Okay, let's give ourselves a very good name. Let's call ourselves September Gurus.
We should look in.
Yeah. Let's call ourselves that just for the purpose of this training. Okay, so we're going to call ourselves September Gurus team. Okay, and then over here you put the description. So what is this thing all about? Okay, so here I'm just going to type. Okay, somebody is unmuted. It can be distracting for others. Please stay muted, please. So we're just going to use that description. For your own team, it might be your project mandate that you want to put in your description or what your team is all about. is what you want to put in your description. But this would just be your project name, which will be your team name. And then over here, you have your description of what your team is all about. And then at the bottom here, you can see visibility. Okay, so you have two visibility there. The first one is the public one. So for the public visibility, the feature for that is that it is visible to everyone. Anyone that has your URL, once you create your project, once we finish everything and we click on create, you realize that the URL we have will be different from the URL you have here. So before we've created the project, you can see that the URL we have here is Azure and Blue Sky Citadel team. But once we create it, you will see that that will change. Now, if you use the public visibility, anyone with the URL can have access to your project board. Okay, they don't need to log in. They don't need the login details and everything. It's open to everyone, and that's what you're doing once you pick the public one. Okay, it has a unique URL. Anybody, like I said, anybody from anywhere, anybody that has the URL can have access to it. They can just put it in their browser and they would get it. And it is used for open source project development. Let's assume people are trying to kind of create awareness and all that. They can use that. People are trying to train or different things like that. They can use the public one because and they won't put any content that, any sensitive content in that kind of a project, but because maybe it might, like I said, it might just be for training purposes. It might be for marketing purposes. Microsoft itself might use it for marketing purposes. So that's what the public one is for. So the one we want to keep to would be the private one. And as you can see, by default is the private one that is always activated by default. So with the private one, it is visible to limited users alone. And the user must have a login to be able to access the project board. Even if they have the URL, it will ask them to log in, before they can use it. And it's used by a lot of organizations with software development, projects or service-based projects and all that. That is what they pick, and that is what they use. So after that, because like I said, that is by default, so we don't want to tamper with it. We're going to leave it like that, but that is what we want. And then the next thing we want to open up is the advanced part of the setup. Okay, so when you open up the advanced, also you have the version control, which has Git in it, and then it has the Team Foundation version control. For the Team Foundation version control, that was what Azure DevOps was using initially, and it is server-based. So if an organization decides to use the Team version, Team Foundation version control, then that means they are based, is an on-site organization that allows the team member has to be in the office. That's when they pick that kind of version control. But for any remote team, mostly is Git, because Git is another cloud, based platform. So by default, it comes with Git, and we're just going to leave it at that. The key ways will understand this more by the time they start working, okay, because it's part of the tools that they would use, or the application that they will use. And then we want to come over here to the work item process. Okay, so in Azure, you have different work process. You have the Agile process, you have the basic process, you have the CMMI process, you have the Scrum process, and the one we want to pick is the Scrum process, because we're practicing Scrum framework, isn't it? So that is the process, because each process has its own different features on it. So we want to pick the Scrum process so that we know we've set ourselves for that, that framework already. And that's the last thing you want to pick before you click on create. So once I click on create, we're going to see our project board very soon. Okay, and that's our project board. And like I said, if you check the URL, you can see that September Guru's team has been added to the URL, okay, to what we have there before. Okay, so that is our project board. It has been created now. Yeah, and you can see welcome to the project, and it's showing you the features that you have. You have the boards, you have the repo, you have the pipeline, you have the test plan, you have your artifacts and all that. Okay, and then you can see, because I created it, I'm the only member on it for now. Yeah, I'm the only member on it for now. So that is the first part. Any questions on this process before I go to the next process, which is to invite my team members onto the project board? Do we have any questions so far?
It's going good.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Okay, so once you are here, the next thing you want to do is to invite your team members onto your board. And how to do that, again, if you go to the right at the top over here, you can see invite. Okay, and then you're able to invite your members, and you can see over here is showing you the kind the visibility that you've picked. You know, we picked the private visibility, and you can see it's showing you here. So once we invite people, those are the ones that would have access to this board. That's what it's telling us. Okay, so I'm just going to click here and invite some of my team members. Let me pick allow me, because allow me is already on the organization. I'll be able to see her name. Okay, once you are not added to the organization, if your Scrum Master comes to invite and type in your name or your email address, in as much as you've not been added to that organization, it won't pick you. That's number one. Number two, if you've been added to the organization, you've not gone through the process, you know, follow the join now and everything, it doesn't disturb your Scrum Master from seeing your name because you've been added to the organization already. Okay, so even if I've been added to the organization, I've not followed my email, you know, the user-friendly journey in order to get to the organization, it doesn't disturb my Scrum Master from seeing my name because I've been added to the organization. So I'm just going to randomly just pick some few people. I'm going to pick PP also. Okay, I'm going to pick Olu. They're my team members, and I'm just adding them to my board. I'll pick Abimbola. Okay, and then I love this. So there are times when you have more than one names on your organization, and then you're wondering, okay, so the Abimbola I'm picking, who is the person I'm picking? You need to know the person's email, because when people are being added to the organization, we add them with their email. Then by the time they, go in and everything, you have the opportunity to put your name there also. But once you are inviting your members, it will show the name and it will also show the email. So you need to know the emails of your team members. Don't just ask them, oh, what's your name? I'll try tapping your name, it will bring it up. If there are more than one or two, if you don't know the email, you might be adding the wrong person to your organization. So the Abimbola I'm looking for, this is the email that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to add her also. And then I'm going to go for that to add also to my project. Okay. Let me add, I have okay, I have to be beautiful also. Okay, start the right person. Just going to delete that and pick the right person. Okay. All right, so let's just leave it at that. But that's the way you add all your team members. And once you've done that, you've put their names there, you can see that it's showing your project board. Okay. So it says add to teams. This is the team that you were adding them to. And then you're able to click on add. So once I click on add, they will be added. You will soon see all their names here, showing up here. Okay, see? Added 6 users to one team, and see, he's added all of them. You can see everyone that I've invited have been added and they're showing there, and you can see that the members have become 7. So that's how you add your team members onto your board. One, like I said again, because that comes up a lot, Scrum Masters, once you are adding them on and you can't see their names and all that, 2 things. It's either they've not been added to the organization, that's why you can't see their name, and then you just follow your escalation process in order to know who do you contact and everything in order to make your team members be part of your board, because you will be doing onboarding. Part of your onboarding role as a Scrum Master is to set up your board, add your members to it, and ensure that everybody is able to access the project board. And this is how you add them, so that they are able to also to access the project board. So for all the ones that said, oh, he's saying oops and everything, once you've been added onto your project board, you will be able to, have access to that board once that has been done. Like I said, why you're not seeing it now is because you've not been added. So that is another process. Any questions so far before we go on?
Yes, I have a question.
Quickly, please. Yes.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. Yeah, my name is Ituan. When working on a project, are we allowed? Is it just a particular Scrum Master that would handle one particular project, or for the sake of this training, are we going to have more than one working on a particular project?
Okay, so for the purpose of this training, you're going to be more than one Scrum Master in your team, which I think by now you will have noticed that you're more than one. Okay, and this is where you developing your collaborative skills come into play. Scrum Masters are experts that you would come together and then you will work together. Even though you are more than one, you have to be one voice, one front to your team member, saying the same thing. So which means you would have met, planned yourself, do you understand, before you meet with your team. So you can decide that, okay, when we're creating our project board, we want to come together, you know, like a team. I know you've been added to MS Teams. You can, meet there and decide who wants to share the screen. You've all gone to watch the video, and then you're coming together. One person is the driver doing everything and all that. And where that one person makes a mistake out of the process, the others are able to say, oh, no, that's not the next thing we need to do. This is the next thing you need to do. So it's just one project board per team. And you have to, like I said, you have to collaborate together. So if you are 5 Scrum Masters in your team, we won't have 5 team project board. It's just the one that we will have, but you'll have to collaborate together. Having said that, in the workplace out there, this is a training. This is internship and this is training. But in the workforce out there, you will be the only Scrum Master in your team. So in the workforce out there, you will be the one either creating your board or customizing your board if they have the board already, and the team member says, oh, we would like to have this and that and everything. You will be the one doing that at the place of work. But like I said, if you are 5 in your team here in the internship, you can all come together to decide, oh, let's meet, so date, and create our board and things like that and everything. And one person can spearhead, sharing their screen, doing it while everyone is contributing to it and doing it together, because you've all either listened to this or would go and watch the video next and everything and do what needed to be done. I hope that's
Thank you very much.
okay. You're welcome. All right, so the next thing we want to do is to customize
I
the
have a
project.
question, please.
Sorry, I was
Okay.
raising my hand.
All right, like I said, I can only take 2 questions per process, or else we'll be here till 3 a.m. I'm good, but I'm sure most of you are not. So let's minimize the questions so that we can cover a lot of ground. Okay, so I don't know. Make a consensus. Who wants to ask the question? Who wants
Let
to
me
go?
ask let me ask my question.
Who is that? Shagun?
Shagun, yes.
Shagun, do you want to do ladies first?
Men
No,
first.
I'm fine. He should go ahead.
All right,
The
go
question,
ahead.
the question is simple, man. The question is,
Sorry,
can
it's
the
Moji.
Scrum...
It's normal.
You said?
I said it's Moji. It's normal.
Okay. Okay, Moji, the question is, can the Scrum Master add as many as possible of the members to the group, or the stuff is limited to a certain number?
You can add as much as your team members on your board, but remember, it's just your team members. All your team members go on your board. It's not limited to a particular number. It's not going to stop when it gets to 10 or 20. I know you don't have 20 team members, and then even if you have, you can put all of them. Once they are, just make sure they're your team members that you are putting on your board. Those are the ones that you want them to go. It's not as if other team members can't come and see what you're doing on your board and all that, but you just want to limit it to just your team members alone that are on your board. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Okay. So I want to believe that those processes are the easiest one that we've done. Okay. So the next one we want to do is we want to create an inherited process. And I'll explain what that is. You know, initially when I was creating this board, I picked the process which is Scrum. Okay, so and Scrum is one of the basic process on the Azure board. Now, in a situation where my team we want to do different things on our own board, we want to have, this is just an example, I'm not saying do that, we want to have a particular feature, we want to customize it in such a way, in a particular way and everything. We don't want to do it on the Scrum process. If my projects, September Gurus, do that on our own on the Scrum process, everybody on the Scrum process gets that thing that you have customized. That configuration that you've done goes on every other project board, and they might not want it. Might just be your own team that want that particular thing. And that is why you create an inherited process. What you're doing with your inherited process is you're saying this process I've carved out is the process that my team will be using. So whatever configuration we do, whatever customization we do is limited to just my project alone. It won't affect any other project boards that are using the Scrum process. So you're still using Scrum, but you're creating another process out of Scrum, specific to your own project alone. Okay, so I just want to make that clarification before we go, because a lot of people go like, oh, we're already on Scrum. Why do we need to, create another process out of it? Mainly is so that any configuration or customization you do on your own project does not affect any other person that is using the Scrum process. Yeah, all right. And for us to do that, what we need to do is, if you go to the organization itself. All right, let me start. Okay, this is our project. If you come to the left panel over here, at the bottom here, you can see project settings. Okay, and then you click on the project settings at the bottom here. And then it brings you here. So when it brings you here, you can see the process. That is your team's process. That was the process we picked initially, and it's under your project details, the second column. This is the first column, the tiny ones with different icons here. The second one is your project settings panel over here. Now we are coming to this third one here, the open large one that says project details. Underneath that is where you have your process, which is Scrum. Okay, so we want to click on that because that's where we're going to do what we need to do. Once you click on that, it takes you to the organization setting. As you can see, it's bringing us to the organization settings. And then you can see in this blue aspect here, it says system process cannot be customized. Okay, so it says to add customization, you have to create an inherited process. That's what I'm saying, that if you need to do any configuration or customization, you have to create an inherited process. Microsoft itself is telling you that you can't customize the system process. The ones we saw when we were picking Scrum, those were the system process, and it won't allow us to customize that. Okay, so for us to do the customization that we need to do, we have to go on Scrum. Okay, so all right, hold on, I'm gonna take that back so that I've not lost us too much. When we clicked on that Scrum where we went to, it brought us here. That was where it brought us to. So this is Scrum, okay? And then we want to see all processes. So if you click on this all processes over here, it's going to show you all the process. You can see the basic, the agile that we saw earlier on, and then you can see Scrum. And just to show you an example, these are all other inherited processes that have been created under Scrum. As you can see, they are like an indent to the Scrum itself. Okay, that's the inherited processes of all the projects that have created inherited processes under Scrum. And then you can see that the next process is CMMI. That's another process. It's not an inherited process, but it's just another process on its own, a main process, a system process on its own. So to create our own inherited process from Scrum, what we do is we come to these ellipses. These three dots are called ellipses. We come here and then you click on it. Once you click on it, it gives you this little window over here. And then you can see here the second the second step is the one we're going to. So we're not creating a new project under Scrum. We've already created our project under Scrum. We're creating an inherited process. So you come here and then you click on this inherited process, and then it gives you this window. Okay, and then it wants to know what your process name is called. Most especially, it's better to use your project name or your team name, whatever name you have on the board, to create your inherited process. So ours was September Guru team. So we're going to call our inherited process September Guru Scrum. Okay, that's the inherited process we want to create. And you put everything together. You don't put space in between it. Everything goes together. You can put spaces, not as if you can't put space in between, but you can also put it together. Okay, so and also I can put 2023 so that we know the September we're talking about, in case there's been another process that has a September in front of it. So I'll just put 2023 September, or I can even shorten the September to Sept, just to reduce the long. Okay, so that would just be 2023 Sept Guru Scrum. Yeah, I can leave it like that, or custom this ones to capital letter. It doesn't mean, you might just leave it that. The most important thing is to have the name, and then you can put the description here. What is your project all about? The description and everything. You can put it here. Project board suit. Okay, all right, let me put there. Written. Just something that works for your team. So here I've put creating a process that suits the team. Pick it. Okay. Suits the team and the project mandate. And then once you've created that, you click on create process. Okay, and as you can see, our process has been added. 2023 Sept Guru Scrum. The inherited process has been added, but I'll show you something. If you look at it, it has been added there, but our project is not on it yet, because up here you have team project. And if you come here, you can see that it's 0. So a lot of people make that mistake. They create the inherited process, but they don't change the process, their projects to the process. You can see one here. This is a project here. It's an inherited process created, but you can see there's no project on it. The other ones, you can see 1 on it. You can see that they've moved their project to it. That's another one that has been created without the project being changed, the process of the project being changed. So it's one thing to create it, is another thing to remember to change your project onto that. So right now, our project is still on Scrum. Okay, so it has not been changed. It has not moved to what we've created. And what we want to do is to make sure that we change it, we put it onto that. And in order for us to do that, we go back and click on projects that we have here. On the left panel, you have project over here. So you want to click on project over there. And it's going to bring all the projects that you have. It's going to show you all the projects that you have. And we're going to look for our own project, which is the 2023 September Guru team. That's what we're looking for. That's our project. So we click on that. Okay, so you can see it's bringing us back to this process. And then if you go to Scrum again, because that's where you still are, you're still on Scrum. And what we want to do is we want to change. So once we're here, we go to project. We want to see all the projects that are under Scrum. So it's bringing us to a process, which is Scrum, and we want to see the projects that are under Scrum. So on the header over here, on this ribbon over here, you're able to see the project. So when you click on this project, it shows you all the projects you have under Scrum, and that's our own over there. So again, you come to this ellipsis, you click on it, and you change. It says change process. That's what we want to do. So if we click on that, it shows us, it says select a target process. and we will see that the process we've created is right there, and that's what we want to change to. So you can see that's the process we created, inherited process we created. It's the 2023 Set Grow Scrum. We'll click on that, and then we say save. And we close, because you can see it's telling us that it has been completed. We close it. So what happens now is, we'll just wait for that too. As you can see, our project is no longer under Scrum. Yeah, it's moved to the process that we've created. Now, if we go to our process and we come here, you can see that it has added a project. Our project has been added over there. So that's us creating the inherited process and not forgetting to move our project onto the inherited process that we've created. So it's not just about creating it, it's about remembering also to move your project onto it before you go ahead. Okay, any questions so far before we go to the next process? No question? Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to...
I raised my hand, sorry.
Okay, all right.
I just wanted to ask, what's the purpose or why or what would be the situations that we were around creating the inherited process, like not work on Scrum, but create another process outside of that? Why would you want to do that? Like I
explained earlier on, you would do that depending on what suits your team. Your team might be working on a particular project, yeah, where they need to do some configuration on their board. They need to add some things and everything, and it's just unique or specific to your project, and you don't want to affect every other project that are doing the same thing. Okay, let me use
that change will only affect that, but okay,
that project alone. Okay, so if you whatever you want to configure, if you do it on the Scrum, the system one, you know, like the system shows us earlier on, gave us a notification that you can't customize on the system process. The system process, like I said, are the ones you're seeing: basic, agile, Scrum, CMMI. Those are the basic system. Those are the system process. You can't, it won't allow you to customize it because other people are using it and they don't want you to affect other people's projects. You don't want to do something on your own board and it's affecting like 50 other projects that are using the same Scrum process. That's why you create an inherited process, so that whatever you do, whatever customization, configuration, which we will get to, and you will see what I'm trying to say, whatever thing you do is just limited to just your project alone. And that's why you can see that it's just our own project alone that we've moved to the inherited process that we created. Yeah, are we clear on that?
Thank you. Yes, I am.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so there's a lot of, okay, so that we do that inherited process before we start doing a lot of changes that we need to do on our own project. And most of those changes that we do or are on our project's settings. So we have to be on our own dashboard, on our own project board to do all the things we need to do. Right now, we're not there. As you can see, this is organization settings, not project settings. So we have to be on our project in order to do what we need to do. Again, so we're going to click on project here. Make sure we go back to our own projects. Okay, which is the September Guru system one. That is the project settings. So make sure when you're doing any customization, anything, the only thing you do on the organization setting that it allows you to do is the process, because that's where the process are. Any other settings that you need to do, please make sure you come back to your own project, and this is where you're doing what you need to do. You can see that the project name is there. Always ensure that you have your own project. That is what you're, changing things on, not any other person's project. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do before we go further is to make sure that we activate our dashboard. We just want to be picking it one by one as we go. Okay, so to activate our dashboard, because by default everything is disabled, you have to enable it once you create your project board. So for us to do that, what we need to do is we come over here to this left panel. This is the panel where that takes you to different pages where you need to do what you need to do. So our dashboard is in overview. So if I click on overview, okay, that's our overview, sorry. Before we go to overview, let's go to the dashboard is here, sorry. So if we go to the dashboard, yeah, your dashboard is where you will see different things. By the time we get there, you will see what the things you do on your dashboard. Okay, so for us to set our dashboard, as you can see, everything is turned off. Everything is disabled, and we need to enable it. Okay, so we need to enable creating a dashboard so that we're able to create our dashboard when we need to. So we want to enable that, and for you to enable that, all you need to do is to click on this toggle, and as you can see, that's been activated. The next thing you want to do is you want to be able to edit your dashboard, and then again you click on this toggle and then it's activated. The only one I would advise you not to activate is delete the dashboard. Because if you activate this one, if any of your team members goes on the dashboard and mistakenly, it's not as if they've done it on purpose, mistakenly, if they delete it, any metrics or anything you have on your dashboard is gone. So the best thing is don't activate it. Don't just leave it disabled the way it is. Don't enable it. Okay, so that's all done for the dashboard. That's the only thing you need to do over here on your dashboard. Okay, that's settled. As you can see, like I said, we're doing this on our project. Okay, and then another thing you want to do is you want to set, there are some default settings that you have that you need to change the settings. This is us now customizing and configuring things to suit our project, and that's why we don't do it on the main system. Okay, so and you do this to prevent new stories from being created automatically, in the sprint. So the default state, the way it has been set, let me go there and show us. Okay, so if we go to our project configuration over here on the left panel again, we're coming to this left panel again. If you go to configuration, before I do that, let me quickly talk about this upper one, so you're not wondering, oh, okay, so all those ones you're leaving, what are they all about? So this is the general one. All these ones here are under general, and then these ones are the way you want to configure or customize your board that you're going to use. Okay, so under overview, what you have there is it's just your project details, your project name, your description, your process, your project administrators and all that, the features that you have and everything. And then you also have the ability to delete your projects, which I won't advise anybody to do. Believe me, there are ways to know who deleted what on Azure DevOps. And there is a way, that way is known to the people that are the administrators. They're able to say, so I know we're all matured, we're all reasonable people. Nobody's just going to think, okay, I don't like this thing and I'm just going to go and delete their board. Okay, so I know we're not going to do that, but let's assume that you created a project board by mistake and all that, and you don't want it anymore. That is what that button is for you to just, delete it and maybe start another one again and everything. But definitely we're not going to do that. Okay, so that's what your overview is, just giving you an overview, like a brief summary of what your project is all about and what you have on your project board. And then the next one you have is the teams. Okay, so when you click on the teams, it shows you the name of your project. But when I click on that, it's able to give me the list of all the team members that I have. So when I click on these under teams over here under overview, if you click on, it's saying on this board there is just this project, and these are the people that I've added to my project. So these are my team members. So when you want to know your team members, maybe somebody said, oh, I've not been added to the team, Scrum Masters, you want to check, that's the way you can check to know who has been added, who has not. And apart from you using the invite, this is another way that you can add your team members. You can see it here. If you don't want to keep going through the invite on the invite side and everything, just come to your project settings. It brings you here on Teams. When you click on Teams, okay, it shows you your project. When you click on your project, you're able to see the names of all your team members there. And if you need to add any new person, once I click on add, you will see that it takes me to that little pop-up like we had before. And then you're just able to put the emails in. It gives you save, you save them, and then their names comes up here. So you're able to add all your team members over here, and then you can see, you know, that's their email over there and all that. So that's what the team is for you to know your team members and all that. And then if there are more than one team, project team on this project board, also it will show you. So if there are more than one team on this project board, what you will see is where you have just September Guru here, it will list all the teams that are there. But on your own project board, you want it to just be your team members alone, and that's what, you know, we have here. Okay, so the permission aspect, I wouldn't advise you to go inside. It has to do with the permission level, the different access, permission and everything, which really has nothing to do, you know, with you. That has to do with admin, the administrators, or the IT of the organization. Notifications also has to do with admin aspect of things. We can open them so that it doesn't look as if, you know, we're adding anything, but all these have to do with admin, so I wouldn't advise that anybody goes in there to do anything. Like I said, also permission side is just showing you who has permission, the different permission group that you have, and everything, again, based used only mainly by the organization's admin. And then you have the service hooks here. You have the service hooks here, and this is just to create subscription. Again, still left with the admin. Okay, so it's just admin that makes use of all these aspects, or the tech lead are the ones that makes use of all this one. And then the dashboard was the one we went to earlier on, you know, to enable our create and edit. So that's for the general aspect. And we're now going into the configuration we need for the our board. Okay, so like I said, there are some default settings that you want to reset so that, you know, you're able to work properly. And the first one we want to do is to reset the default set on state. Okay, so what happens is when your business analysts, the BAs, when they create their project, if we don't deal with this reset, default reset, what happens is the BAs work prior to the sprint, isn't it? They write their stories, and after the stories is ready, the PO are signed off on the stories. That's when we have our sprint planning and we take them into sprint. Okay, so but if we don't change this setting, what happens is, let's assume that we've taken 10 stories into sprint that we're working on, and the BAs are writing the next story for the next sprint. If we don't change this setting, every story they are writing will be going into sprint. And then you as a Scrum Master, you're wondering, we took 10 stories in. How come we're having 14? How come we're having 15? It should just keep increasing. What has happened there is because this setting has not been done. Okay, and that's what we want to do, to make sure that we change that default setting so that the stories that are being created, you know, don't automatically go into the project. Okay, they don't go into the sprint, sorry. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to click on this default team setting that you have here. It says to select iteration for the team, go to the default. So this default team settings that we want to go into and change what needs to change. So you click on that hyperlink. Two ways you can do it really, but I'll show you the second one also. So clicking on that hyperlink, remember we went in through project configuration, but it's brought us to the team configuration page. So you can, if you know your way around, you can as well just go to the team configuration to do this. But at the same time, you can just follow, you know, the other process, and you'll still get there. And then you can see that again is giving us notice that this project is currently using this 2023 September Guru Scrum process. Okay, so that's what it's showing us now, that that's the process we're using. It's not telling us we can't use it anymore, it's just saying that's the process we're using. Okay, so this is the default setting we want to change. Over here, you can see the default iteration. It says at current sprint. So whatsoever story they are writing in the backlog, it just goes into the current sprint. And for us to change that, we come to the change in front of it over here. We click on that. And then you can see it's telling us, it's giving us different options. So we don't want to go into all these sprints because we've not started the sprint yet. Where we want to put it is we want to put it on the backlog. So where you see the name of your project, that is your backlog. And that's what we want to click on. So you click on that, okay? So don't just click on that and leave it. You have to click on set. It's like saying save it. So you have to click on set. So any story they create, any story they write goes into the backlog. You can see you have default iteration here, and then you have backlog iteration here. You can see this, the two of them are now the same. So you want to set that so that your BAs are writing into the backlog. They are not writing into the current sprint, any sprint you're in. So any story they create, any epic, any feature they create goes now into the backlog. It doesn't go into the sprint, automatically goes into the sprint. That is the first configuration we want to do, or customization we want to do on our project. Now, imagine if we've not taken this inherited process. All these changes we're doing will be affecting the Scrum process itself, and we don't want to do that. Yeah, that's why we've created, that is one part of the things, not the only thing, but you'll see the other one soon. That is part of the thing we want to do in order to set that in place. And that has been set in place. We've done that now. We've changed our default setting over there to backlog rather than it going into the sprint. Okay, that's another process completed. Any questions before we go into the next one? Any question from anyone?
Yes,
Okay,
hi,
so
Rose
all
here,
right.
please.
Okay.
I just wanted to know, like, all these default settings that you're changing and all that stuff. Like, for instance, I'm a QA intern. I don't have any business with that, do I? It's just the
You
Scrum
don't.
Masters and it. Okay, thanks. All right, just
The
clarify.
board, your Scrum Master is the project board administrator. Yeah, so this is for them. Okay, so you having an idea or knowing about it is shared knowledge for you and shared understanding of how your project board works. But they are the ones that will do it. If you need anything, if you need anything on the board to say, oh, Scrum Master, are we QAs able to do is to let them know, and then they go and do what you need. And if it's not possible, they will tell you, and they will tell you why and everything. Like I said, normally this training is for just for the Scrum Masters, but that shared understanding and that shared knowledge, I think, is better for everyone to have it. That doesn't mean you as a QA or a BA would go and be doing all this. It's still left for the Scrum Masters. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to go and have a look at our navigation panel. Okay, so let me go back to general. Okay, so where we did the default setting was on iteration at the ribbon at the top here, and where we're going to now is the general setting. By default, what you have enabled is your feature and your backlog items, which is your user story. Your epics are not enabled, but you need to enable that, because with Scrum, you want to navigate and link your epics to your features and also to your user stories. That's why you enable that. But normally by default is not enabled. So you enable that. Okay. And then your working days also. In the workforce out there, you have Monday to Friday, isn't it? But we know that in the internship, you've been told that your working days are Monday to Sunday. So you want to enable your Saturday and your Sunday also. And what that does is when you set your sprint, it includes Saturday and Sunday in it, and not just stop at Monday to Friday. So please don't go out there to say that, oh, when I work on the board, I enabled it Monday to Sunday. It's Monday to Friday for the workforce out there. But for the purpose of your internship, you work Monday to Sunday. And that's why we've enabled both the Saturday and Sunday, so that that goes into your settings when you're setting up your sprint dates and all that. It will be able to, because of these default settings that we've done. And then when you come down over here, you have working with bugs. So how does your team want to work with bugs? By default, it comes with bugs are managed with requirements, and that's what we're going to leave it at. Some teams don't want to manage their bugs with their requirements. What this says is when a QA is picks a story and is carrying out tests on the acceptance criteria and the description on that story where there is a defect that they want to raise a bug on, through that user story, they are able to raise the bugs. That is why we're leaving it at that. Some manage their bugs with their task. There's a work item called task. So that means every bugs you have to raise, you won't raise it on the user story, you will raise it on the task. and we don't want that. And then some team manage their bugs separate, you know, they are not managed on the backlog or on the board, they are managed separately and all that. This is why we do customization. Okay, and we you know, to make things that anything we do here is suited to our projects. Let's assume another project now wants to do their own to manage it with tasks. If we have not changed to inherited process, we'll be affecting whatever they are doing based on what we've set in our own on our own board. Okay, so we're going to leave that there, and that's us done with this page. Okay, so we've set the navigation panel. Also, any questions so far before I go into the next one, please? So over here, we coming back to do some things over here, which I don't want to do now. So the main thing we need to do next is to go on our board and configure our project board. Okay, so for us to go and configure our project board, we're going to come to the first left panel we have over here. Okay, you can open it up. At the bottom here, you have these two arrows that gives you more information. You can see when I'm just hovering over it, it says show more information. So when I click on it, it opens that first panel up for me. And where we're coming to is over here when we have boards. Again, when we have the boards, you can see that when I over it, it's showing me everything that needs to be underneath it. But I can also open it up. I can click on it and all those lists are down there in it. Okay, and then where we're coming to is this, where we have boards. That's where we're coming into. And by default, this is what you have. These 4 columns are what you have for your project board. So this is your project board now. The board we've been talking about and everything, this is that board now. Okay, but all these features also definitely there are collaborative features and everything that we'll use. So on your board by default, what you have is you have the new column, you have the approved column, you have the committed column, and then you have the done column. Okay, so but for us, because we have different team members, we want to have columns for them. You know, I said earlier on that our project board helps us to see what everybody is doing. It gives us visibility and is transparent, and we're able to work and we're able to see how works are planned, you know, tracked, and then we review what we need to do and improve our process as we go along. So we want to configure our project board in such a way that every team members that we have, we're able to give them a doing and done column, if I can put it that way. We want to do that. Okay, so for us to do that, you come to this cog over here on your right at the top ribbon. You come to this cog over here. You can see configure team setting. This is where we come to either reduce the number of columns we have on the board or increase it. So when you click on that, okay, does anybody need any clarification? Do you want me to go back and show you how I got there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. So initially, all right, let me go back to the project settings and then I'll tell you how I found my way to this board. We finished whatever we wanted to do on the team configuration side of things. Yeah. And then we wanted to go to, this was where we stopped. And then we wanted to go on our project board itself. And I said the first panel you have at the end here, this is where you're going to. But you might not know what each of these icons means. And for you to have an understanding, just come to the bottom of that far left panel, to the bottom here. You see these 2 arrows that helps you to expand that panel. And then you're able to see what they are. And where we're coming to is the board. You know, is the board that we want to configure. So on this board, it has different list of pages underneath it over here when you hover over it. But just click on it also. It gives you all the drop down of those pages in here also. Okay, so the one we want to configure is the board, and the board that we want to configure. So there are 2 boards that you can see. This green one is the main board that has all these different pages underneath it. But the board we're going to is this one over here, which is the second one. The one, what comes in between the 2 of them is the work items, but we are coming to this board over here. So when you click on that board, that's where we we got to our project board and we have these 4 columns, and I've explained that these are the 4 columns by default, but we want to create more columns for our team members because I want to see what the BA is doing. I want to see what the developer is doing. I want to see what the QA is doing. The only person that doesn't have a column on this board is a Scrum Master because you administer the whole board. So what you are doing, you are the one helping the team, supporting the team, guiding the team. Yeah, and by seeing what everyone is doing, you're able to help them with the Scrum process to collaborate, and do better with what they're doing. They are experts on their own part. You are the, how will I put it, the heartbeat of the team, always bringing them together, making sure we're interacting and we're following the process the right way in order to be productive and in order to add value to what we're doing. Okay, so we want to create that more columns. That's what we want to do. And for us to do that, you go to the upper ribbon you have at the top of your board over here. And then you go to the far right. At the far right, there is this engine. Let me call it an engine icon. If I can call it, there is a cog. If you come here and you hover over it, you can see it says configure team setting. And now you're going to click on it. And it gives you this pop-up window where you're able to do what you need to do. Okay, so 2 places we're going to touch on here. The first one, I said is the board. The columns are what we want to add to the board. So you come under board, you have board here, you have fields up here. We're not going to the fields, we are coming to the board. By default, it's going to show you the fields, the card fields. We're still going to come to that, but that's not the first thing we want to do. The one we want to work on initially is this columns. That's the one we want to create more columns for. So when you come here, you click on the columns, and then it's just going to show you can see these are the 4 columns that we have. The new, the approved, the committed, and the done. Yeah, by default, that is what we have. Okay, so the process we want to do now, we're going to do it together. Okay, so your new column, really, that is your backlog. I know when Wumi was taking us through a session earlier, I think that was earlier this week. Yeah, when she was taking us through, she told us about the product backlog. That is what your new represents. Some team change it to product backlog. They change the name to product backlog. It doesn't, you might want to change it, you might not change it, it doesn't matter, or you can leave it as new. But know that anything in new, that first column is for your product backlog. Okay, and then you have approved and all that. Okay, so let's do this exercise together. In a team, after the PO, who works next after the PO in the project? Let's take it through that. Let's go through that journey together.
The BA.
Anyone?
The BA.
The BA. Okay. So we want to create a column also for our BAs so that we are able to see what they're doing. And what you need to do to create a column for them is you click on this plus that you have there. What this means is just for you to create a new column. Okay, so when I click on that, you can see that it's created the column and is asking me for the column name. Okay, so in here, I want to put in BA. And what that is saying, sorry about that, my keyboard and my mute button works together. Okay, so what that means is once you put in BA there, what we're saying is that any story I find in this column is the story that the BAs are working on. Okay, so I want to increase the WIP limit. What WIP limit means is work in progress limit. So they can have more than 5 stories in there. They can have 10, they can have 20, because it's part of the backlog. So your in-BA column is still part of your backlog. That's where your BAs are working. Okay, so I want to increase that. Let's increase that to make that 20 because they're working on stories there. I don't want to split it. So what this is saying, what the split one is saying is split column into doing and done. I'll tell you why I don't like splitting it. When you split it, because it is one column that you've splitted into 2, your stories, the WIP limit is just showing you the same number all the time. You are not able to say, oh, the BAs have 10 stories they're working on. They've done 10. It just shows you 20. And that's why I don't like splitting it. I prefer them to be separate. But another person can decide, oh, I'm going to split it. So it's just one column splitted into, 2. Okay, so if we leave it like that, the state mapping for now is still going to show you new. So what that is saying is that when the story, when the work item, the user story is there, the product backlog item is here, the state it will be showing you. We'll create everything and then we'll do an example so that you see what all these things mean. For now, we want to leave it as new. And then if your team has met, they've done their team charter, they know what their definition of done is, you're able to put your definition of done also into this box. Now, don't save and close because we have a lot of columns to create. So just leave it and then we'll start with continue creating. So we want to create another one. So if we have in BA, what do you think the next one should be? Anyone?
BA done.
BA done. Thank you. So this one is in BA. They're doing it here. So the next box you want to see is BA done. So say the BAs are finished what they're doing. So your board is just talking to you. Okay. By the stories you see in them, it tells you what is going on. So that is BA done. We want to also increase the WIP limits, the work in progress limits for that. Let's make that 20 also, like the other one. Also is still new that you'll be seeing there. Okay. So right now I can drag this to this side because in BA has to come before BA done. Yeah. I can do it now. I can do it after I've created all my columns to make sure I arrange everything right. So from my product backlog, the first thing I want to see are the stories that the BAs are working on, the stories that they are writing, putting their description, acceptance criteria, their wireframe, and all sorts, the data that needs to be inside, content that the developer needs to work with that is being put there. And once they finish, they put it in BA done. So what that is saying is that, oh, we finished writing the story. Our story has met the definition of ready for the team to work on. That is another part of your team charter, your definition of ready and your definition of done. Everything that needs to be in that story is ready for the developer to pick it and work on. But we know that before the developer can pick it and work on it, the PO has to sign off on that story. So once the stories are in BA done, the BAs are able to get in touch with the PO to say, oh, we've written the story. Can you please check on it, sign it off, see if it aligns with the expectation of the user as you've told us and everything. The PO comes, check the story one after the other, and any one of it that is okay and all that, the PO puts in approved. So the approved is at the right place where it should be. Yeah. So the BA works on it, gets it done, gets in touch with the PO check, everything is, hunky-dory, everything is the way it should be, it moves into approved. If the PO has any feedback to give them, if it has not been done properly, there is a part when we create the work item, you'll see it. There's a discussion box where she can put that in to say, oh, can you please do this and this and this before you do it back, and then picks it from BA done and takes it back to MBA for them so that they can work on it, and then they can bring it back and tell her, oh, we've done what you said we should do. Can you check it? Or she can just say, oh, once you finish that correction and everything, just take it over. It's fine and everything. If you've done what I said, or she might want to check it before taking it over. So after the approved column, the next column you want to see is what? After the approved column, who can guess what the next column should be? Anyone? Anyone wants to give it a go? Yeah?
Dev?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Is it in QA?
No. All right, in order not to waste time. So once your stories are approved, it's committed, because remember when we were doing the demo, even though we didn't finish it, we took the stories from, okay, we didn't commit the stories. That's why. Okay, so once your stories are approved, yeah, approved is where you have your sprint planning. The stories that have been approved by the PO is what the PO will come and say, oh, all the stories that are in approved column, that is what I want you to work on in the next sprint that we're going into. That is where you do your reading, getting the clarification, the developer and the QAs are getting all the clarification they need and all that before taking it further. Okay, so once we've done the clarification, we've done the estimation, And then we'll now come back as a team to say that, okay, the total estimation is 120. We don't have capacity to take 120. You negotiate with your PO, they reduce it. When the team unanimously agree that this number of stories is what we can take on, you commit to it. So what you're saying is that we're committing to working on this number of stories in the sprint, and that comes into your committed column. So your committed column is in the right place that he needs to be. Okay, so after the committed column, now we need to create another column, and we create that for the developer. Okay, so this one, we'll call it in dev. Okay, so what we're saying there is that the developer is the one working on that story. Okay, so we're not going to make WIP limit for that 120. Let's just reduce it to, let's say 10. Okay, let's say 10, or we can even say 5, but let's just leave it at 10. Okay, so when it comes to the committed column, okay, so I'm going to drag that, it's here, I'm going to drag it across to after committed, and you will see what will happen. So when it is at the beginning here where I've created it, it's new. Yeah, the in BA, okay, let me quickly go to it. It's still new for now. There's some configuration we're going to do later. The BA done is still in new. When you are in approve, the state changed to approve. You can see the state of your work item changes to approve. When you are in committed, the state changes to committed. And that's why we want to drag our story, in dev over to after committed, so that we can change the state also for that to committed. So we're going to change it from new to committed because we've committed to it. We said this is what we're going to do. So after the in-dev now, what do we think the next column should be? This should be easy going on now.
Dev done.
The way we've done the in BA done. So in dev also will have what comes next?
Dev done.
Dev, thank you. The dev done is the next one. Let's make that WIP limit also 10. And that will be committed. You see, because it's coming after committed. Anything coming after committed will just, be committed. It's saying this is what we've committed to. And then we know also that we need to drag that across so that is in dev done. And then the next one we want to create after developer, who works on your story after the developer?
The QAs.
The QA.
Okay, so have in QA here. Okay. Let's make the one WIP limit also 10. Normally you won't get a 10 there, but let's just leave it at 10. And you can see that the state mapping is already in committed. We want to take that to go after dev done. And then the next one we're creating would be for anyone? Anyone?
QA done.
QA done.
We're done.
Right. Thank you. Okay, so let's make that WIP limit also 10. And you can see that is in committed also, like I said, and then we want to move that across also over there. Okay, so after our QA has done, who works on the next story? What do we have next? The tricky one, isn't it? So after your QA is done, the next person that works on the next column we want to create is a UAT column. Okay, so what UAT means is user acceptance testing. And who does that most times is the PO, but the PO can delegate the BA to do it. And what they do there is to say that we've written the story. We've put this acceptance criteria. The developer has developed, the QA has checked. I, as the BA that has written that story, wants to check to make sure that everything is aligning. Everything I have written as the acceptance criteria, yeah, is what I have on the website. So they're checking the acceptance criteria with what is on the website. They're looking at everything they've put in there, all the wordings, where it should be, the right color, the right position. Is that what has been created on the website? If it is what it has been created on the website, most times you can have either just one UAT, is up to the team and what they want, or you can have in UAT and UAT done. So once the BA put it in UAT done, yeah, it's left for the Scrum Master to take it all the way to the last column, which is done. Some just do UAT, and after UAT, the BA can move the story to done. But what happens? Okay, so it's everybody with their own, different preferential way of doing these things. Why I prefer to have in UAT and UAT done is because as the Scrum Master, you oversee the board. Okay, so there might be a situation where a particular task has not been taken to the done column on the sprint. And then you're looking at that story and you're seeing 4/5 instead of 5/5 to show that everything has been completed. A BA won't check that for you. The BA zone is just to do the UAT and said, oh, it has passed UAT and all that. It is left for you in UAT done as a Scrum Master to check that all the tasks are completed. In a situation where you're seeing 4/5, you open it up and you realize that, okay, the automation task has not been completed. You're checking with the QA that has worked on that story to say, sorry, I noticed that your automation excuse me, task is still active. Is it that you've not done it? Is it that you've done it, you forgot to move it? So it could be, oh, sorry, I did it, but I forgot to move it. And then that is moved on. And then you completely, close that story. So what you're checking is that nothing is escaping. Everything is being completed. You manage the board. You're the board administrator. So it's up to you. So some I prefer, and I'm going to do that, I prefer to have in UAT so that once the BA finishes what they need to do, and then I'm checking to make sure every work that needs to be done on that particular story has been completed before it gets to done. So you can have the in UAT, and then the last one we want to create is UAT done. So we click on that also. And then we take that to after in UAT, and then the last one is done. And then with the done is closed. What you're saying is everything is completed, and you can see that the state mapping for it is grayed out. It's done because they don't want you to change anything. Once it gets there, that particular story has been completed, and that value, incremental value, has been added to the product that we're building. So once we've had this, we can now click save and close, and then you can see all those columns we've created. Can you see them coming on the board? So that is you configuring your project board. And another team might decide, oh, we don't have a BA working for us. It's just our developer and our QA is working. They wouldn't need to have in BA or BA done. And that's why we have inherited process, so that whatever we do is just suited to our own team. It doesn't affect any other projects that are using the same the Scrum process in the organization. Okay, it's just limited alone to our project. And as you can see, those are all the columns that we've created until we get to done. And the WIP limits that we've put on them, as you can see, 10, 10, 10. If you put about 11 user stories in here, the 0 you're seeing up here will turn to red. Okay, so that is our project board configured with all the columns we want to see, so that everything is transparent, everything is visible to everyone the way we are working. Before we go to the work item customization, do we have any questions so far? Okay.
So sorry, just a quick one. I just wanted to know why the WIP limit for approved and committed was not amended.
Ah, you see, that's good. Are you a QA? Hello?
Hello? Did you hear me?
QA?
Sorry?
Are you a Scrum Master or a QA?
I'm a GA.
DA. Okay, so DAs, they have sharp eyes also. They pick things. Thanks for that. Okay, so that's an oversight. You can see that we didn't increase the WIP limit here, and we should have. Okay, so let's just go back and quickly do that, and then we're the same places where we're going to anyway to do the fields. So let's just go to, what was that? Approved, isn't it? Because by default it came by 5, and then I've just increased it the way we're increasing the other one. So we can quickly do that. Thanks for that, eagle eye picking. Okay, so like I said, because we're going to the next field, we can just leave it. We don't need to save, we'll save everything together. So the next thing we want to configure is the things that we have in our on our cards. So our user story is a card, our bug is a card, our task is a card, and the main name for them is, we call them work items. Okay, so the work items are the things we want to also configure. We want to be seeing some things, some fields when they are on the board, and that is what we want to do next. Okay, so for us to do that, we come over here, you know, where we have the cards, we click on the fields, because what we want to configure next is the fields that we have in those cards. That's what we want to configure. And we want to start with the product backlog item. Your product backlog item is also your user story. Okay, so that's the one we want to work on. So by default, these are the fields that are there. So these fields are already, you know, by default they're there. So we might want to add more fields. So it's showing us, it will show you the ID, which is the number, the work item ID. It's always a number, and then it will show you assigned to, which is the person that it has been assigned to, person which is working. Will practice with one so that you can see. It will show you the efforts, that's the estimation. Okay, it will show you the tags. So if you tag anybody into it, you tag any team into it, it will be able to show you that. So, and then it will show you the states. So if you want to add more fields to it, again, once you see the plus and the field, that is where you add more. So if you want to add more, we're able to click on that. Now I'm going to click on about 5 of them because I don't want to pick this one, keep going back and forth. So I'm just going to pick 5. If we don't need more than 5, we're able to delete anyone that we don't want. Okay, so let's just pick 5. 2, 3, 4. Okay, see, keeps taking you down once it's creating, and I don't want to keep going back and forth. That was why I was doing that. Okay, so we have the states. The states is what we have on the columns, you know, all those new, committed, closed, that's the state, and we want to see that on our card when it's on the board. Another thing that we want to see when our story is on the board is we want to see the area path. So you don't have to put everything you have here. It is as it suits your team. So another team might want to see this card, this work item is activated by what date was it activated and all that. You don't have to put everything because it's a long list. It's a very long list, as you can see, and you don't want all that showing, you know, and eating up space on your board. So but we want to see the area path. Okay, which is our backlog. We want that to be shown. We want to see the area part, so we're going to pick that. And then we also pick another one. You go to another box if you want to see another thing. Assigned to is there by default, so we don't want to pick that. We want to see the board column so that when it goes in each column, you want to see that on your card, also on your work item. So we can pick that. We can pick board column. Also, we can pick, let me scroll down then, sorry. Okay, if we want to pick the person that created the story, you want to be able to know the BA that created the story, we can pick created by. Yeah, it's up to us. You might not. It's what, like I said, it's what suits each team that you pick. Okay, another thing that we want to pick is our iteration path, which tells us what sprint we're in at a particular time. The effort is picked by default, so we don't really need to pick that. So we pick the iteration part also. We want to pick that. If you want to pick the kind of work item it is, I think that's the last one. You can pick that also. If you want it to show priority, I think priority is there by default. But if you want it to show the parent of that story, but you know, you don't want to overload it with a lot of things. You just want to pick the basic things. Also, value area is the one that talks about the business and all that. It is already in the card, but it's just if you want to see it on the board. So let's just pick the work item as the last one because we know the state is there, and then we'll just pick all those ones. Okay, so there's a little box at the bottom over here. It says show empty fields, and what this means is if I check this box now, what I'm saying is even when any of these fields are empty, I still want the card to display it. If I don't check it, when any of those fields are empty, they won't show. they will be hidden, except if something has been put in them, if they've been putted with details. But I want to see them even if they are empty. That is what I'm saying with this. Now, we've done that for the bug. Sorry, for the product backlog item. We want to go to the bug and also see what we can, the fields that we can add to our bug also. So like I said, let's just create about 5 of them. If we don't need it, we'll delete it later. And if we need more, we can go back up. So again, by default, the same thing that come with the same thing. And again, we just want to add, so for this one, because this is a bug, yeah, you want to create, you want to put created by who created the bug. Yeah. And then we want to also look at, let's pick area path also. We can pick also the iteration part so that it shows us the iteration. We can pick the bot column, but there is a particular one also that we need to pick here. We want to pick closed by, because it's a bug. So after the bug has been fixed and everything, who closed it? You know, who signed it off, and that's a keyword. So which of the keyword closed it and everything, we're able to pick that also if you want that to be seen on the board. Also, if we want to see the, I think the next one, I'm not sure if we've picked, let me check if we've picked iteration path. We haven't. Okay, I'm just going to create a bit more, maybe just one more. We'll pick iteration path and then we'll pick severity. Okay, iteration path. And then we want to pick the severity. So with a bug, what you have is severity. With a story, what you have is priority. Severity is the one that talks about how severe is that bug. Is it a showstopper? Is it critical? Is it high? Is it low? Is it medium? Keywords, by the time you're working, your tutors and your mentors will be able to explain those, but it's something everybody can understand and pick. Also, and then don't forget to always check this last box to say that I want the empty fields to show. So we've done for the bug, and then we've done for the product backlog item. And then what we want to do now is to save. And they're there. Okay, so the way we can see what we've done is, I'm just going to create one item here. Okay, all right, let me go to the right channel to navigate. Let's see that navigation that we did during the setup. Okay, quickly, just. So to see that, we have to go to the backlog. And there are two ways where you can get to your backlog. You can get to your backlog at the top, and then you can get to your backlog also on your left panel over here. Okay, so, and I want to start with the epic. I don't want to start with the story, because that's the proper way to join your together, your navigation links together. Okay, to do that, again, come to the ribbon at the top over here. And then on your left over here, you can see backlog items. It has a drop down beside it. So if you click on that drop down, it gives you all those navigations. Okay, click on the epic one, and it takes you to the epic place. And you can see it's saying that nothing has been done yet. So it says get started with your product backlog. Okay, so anything you create here, like I said, goes to your backlog, because the backlog is what we've created. So you can click new work item here. If you have a work item already here, so where you come to is this ribbon over here to click your work item. Because we're just starting, you can click it from here, you can click it from here. It's up to you how you want to do it. But let's pick it from up here so that we get used to it. And then you want to put the epic in here. So let's assume this epic is let's give this epic a name. Let's call this epic homepage. Yeah. We want to look at our home page, and then I add it to the top. Okay, that's the epic created. Okay, so if we've not done that default, I'll show you now. If we've not done that default to the iteration that we did, in this place where you have iteration, it will be showing you sprint 1. But because of the default setting we've done, you can see it's taking it to the backlog, which was what we wanted. So that setting that we did, this is the outcome of it. Okay, So just to quickly show us that. So once that has been done, that's your first navigation. You want to go to your feature. So it's Epic Feature User Story. Okay. So once you create your Epic, that's the first one we've created. This is now our feature. So what do we want this feature to be? This one could be let's assume this what should this be?
Login.
Anyone?
Logo.
What do we want on our home page?
Logo.
Okay, so let's do, where does our logo stay? Our logo stays on the header, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's make this feature header. You know, there's a lot of things that comes under the header. This will be a feature. Okay, so we can name this header. You can see also that this has not gone into the sprint. You save and close. Okay, you can see that it's coming under that particular Epic. So it's a child to it. This is the parent, this is the child. If I don't want to see it, if I click on here, it's hidden inside the homepage because it's part of it. But if I want to see it, it's out there. And if I want to create stories, now my stories come under my feature. This plus again, you come to the plus at the start over here. If I don't hover over it, I won't see it. But if I want to see it, I have to hover over it. And then when you click on that, it asks you, what do you want? Is it a bug that you want to create, or a product backlog item, which is your user story? So we want to create a user story. So if we click on user story, we're able to put the title of our user story there. Now we can have our logo, because we want our logo on our header, isn't it? We can have our logo there, and then this is where you'll be able to put all the description for the logo. As a user, I want to see the logo so that I know I'm on the right website. If I subject criteria, all those are put there. Earlier on when I was talking about you can put discussion. These are boxes for discussions that you can put there. Okay, so once that has been created, you save and close, and then you can see our user story or backlog item, product backlog item coming under the feature. So I can close all of them and I will just see the Epic. So you can have loads of Epic. And if you want to see what is underneath them, this little arrow by the side of the crown is what you click on. And then it starts showing you all the things that you have underneath them. So in as much product user story that needs to come under your feature, you can put it there. Another one that you can put is, if you want about us be on your header, yeah, you can put story there also. You can see those are stories now that are forming under the header. Now I want to go on the board because I want us to see all the feeds that we've created under those stories. So if we come back to, okay, I'm going to go back because I just clicked on it without telling you how to go back. Okay, so we're here. Yeah, that's what we've created. I want to view as a board now. I'm viewing it now as a backlog. I want to view it now as a board. Two ways you can get to it. Either view as a board from here or view as a board from here. Two ways that you can get to your board. Okay. And then if it's from here that I want to view it, if I click on view as board, I just click on that. And that is my Epic as a board. So on your Epic board, what you have is just new, in progress, and done. Okay, so that doesn't have MBA or doesn't, no, that doesn't have it. You only have that as at the user story level, at your product backlog level. Okay, so this is on your Epic level. You just want your Epic, or this is the Epic we're working on. Once you start working on it, you move it into in progress. And I want you to notice one thing. When it was here, the state map color there is gray. When it comes to in progress, the state map color changes to blue. When it gets to done, your state map color changes to green. Okay, so that is just at Epic level. You also have your feature level, where we're able to see all the features that we've created. I know we just have one. Okay, so that one also just have new, in progress, and done. You don't change this level to all your MBA and all that. No, at the level where we have that is at the user story level, because what you work on is the user story. Okay, so we can see our user story and we can see all those fields that we added to it. You can see them there, the area path that we added. Bear with me. Okay, the area path that we added, you can see that there is telling us is the September Guru area path. The board column is showing you that it's new, is in the new column created by, you can see my name there, because we are not in any iteration now, it's not putting anything in that box. But because I checked that little box at the bottom, even though this is empty, it's still showing me. And then work item type is telling me it's a product backlog item. And that is what you move across. So all those stories would be here in our product backlog. When the BA starts working on it, you know, stories, it keeps moving until it gets to the end. So I just wanted us to see that before we move on. So that is our board configuration. That is our board column addition, and also our work item field customization. Do we have any question at this point before we move on?
Hi, Moji. Thank you. I just wanted to ask a quick question.
Okay.
See, as the stuff is still in new now, when you move it across to, for example, in BA or BA done, does the work in progress number also change with that?
Sorry, excuse me. Does the what changes?
The WIP you called it, the work in progress number at the top, does that also change as it moves along?
Yes. So if I move it
Okay.
here, you can see that it changes to 1. If I put the 2 of them in there, it changes to 2. The number of work items you have in each column is shown by the number you have it. If I move this one over here now, it goes back to 1 because it's reduced back to 1 now, and this has become 1. So the number, like I said, the number you have there is depicted by, that's why we were doing that WIP limit number that we were adding to the top. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, so we're going to, I know, Rose, you're raising your hand. Quickly, Rose, please, so that we have a lot of grounds to cover.
Yeah, sorry. So, like, for example, on what part of this board does the QA start writing test cases?
When the, okay, so I will leave that to, I will leave that to your QA training time. They will tell you. But I think once you commit to sprint, they expect you to start writing your test cases, even though the developer is still working on it, because you would have created your task, yeah? And then you just start writing your test cases. So you writing your test cases is just making sure that you're getting things ready, isn't it? So that by the time the developer finishes, you pick on that story and you just start doing your manual tests because you're ready to work on it. But don't let me delve into what your tutors are going to train you. But I just thought, okay, let me say something so that it doesn't look as if you didn't answer my question.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, all right. So the next thing we want to do right now, I think after that process, the next one we want to do is getting, let's do I'm gonna show us where the wiki page is, and then how we can create our wiki page, our retrospective board. And if we still have time, we'll do there's an advanced configuration, which I want to do the basic ones first before we go and do that, if it's possible. But this is your board set. Once your board is set, once you've done your work item field set and all that, your BAs, you know, can start off. But I always love to make sure that every configuration that are needed are set before my team even starts working. I'll tell you why, because there's some configurations that you do. Once they've started working and the stories have been moving in each column, once you do some work configuration, it disrupts the things on the board. They start looking for things because you've changed, you know, you've configured the settings. So it just moves things around. So it's better to finish any configuration you have to do before your team starts working on your board. Okay, so quickly, I just want to show us. Okay, so over here, we have the estimates page. Okay, so when during your sprint planning, if they need to do the estimation and all that, you saw how we, okay, I think that was one was created. Okay, so let's create one together. So let's assume now that I'm a Scrum Master, I'm setting up the board and everything in preparation for the sprint. Before I go into estimation, the first thing, once you want to start your sprint, the first thing you need to set is your sprint board. Okay, so to set your sprint board, this is the board we're coming from up here in this left panel. This is the board we're coming from. Don't forget, where we've done all the configuration, the columns, the stories and everything. Okay, our sprint is starting tomorrow. I want to set the board, or it's starting in 2 days time. I want to set the board. So let's assume our sprint is starting on Monday. I just want to set my board to make sure everything is ready for my team. And where I'm coming to is the sprint. So underneath your board, you have backlogs and then you have the sprint. And the sprint is what you want to set. So when you click on that, it takes you to the sprint page. Okay, so you can see it says no iteration dates and everything. So you want to set the date, you come here. So you can see that when we clicked on sprint, it shows us sprint 1 because that has been set by default previously, okay, on the organization. So it's showing you sprint 1. And if you click on this, you will see the different sprints. You can see that that is saying this is the current. This is the first one we're going to go into. This is current. All these ones are the future ones. Okay, so but you need to set the date. So to set the date, all I have to do is to come here and click on set date, and then it opens a little box for me to set the date for our sprint. So over here, I'll come to start date. I can come to this calendar, and then I want to pick Monday. So Monday is the 25th. Okay, and then I know it's the 2-week sprint that we're doing in our organization and on my project also. So if I pick Monday, the first week would end at because we're doing Monday to Sunday, isn't it? The first week will end at the 1st of October. So we're doing 2 weeks, so I have to go into October also. Remember, the first week is ending in 1st of October. The second week is going to end on the 8th of October. So I want to click that also. And then I save and close. Okay, so as you can see, the date is set there. It sets the date. You've set your sprint date already. Another thing you want to do is to make sure that you have all your team members' capacity in here before you do anything. Remember, I've added all my team members at the start when I was creating the project. So you can see automatically he's put all of them in here for me. Okay, and then I just want to set Abimbola's role. What is Abimbola's activity? What does she do? She's a developer. So I'm putting development. That's what she's doing. What is Bolu's role? Bolu is she's a BA. Okay, is a business analyst. So what she does is requirements. She gathers requirements. I'm putting her role there. Okay, so what does Deji do? Deji is the product owner. So everything that has to do with him is documentation. I put that there. What does Moji do? Maybe Moji is the Scrum Master. It's still documentation. What does Bolu do? Olawumi do? Olawumi is one of the stakeholders for this project. Your stakeholder doesn't have to come on your capacity. So Olawumi is a QA. She's a tester. So I'm picking testing for activity. What does Pat does? The Pat is a tester also. So I'm picking testing. If you have 3 developers, you have 4 QAs, you're picking all their activities and putting it there. Okay, so Abimbola has reached out to me to say, oh, sorry, Moji, I'm taking 2 days off and everything. I've been able to come here, click on these. Oh, what are the 2 days you're taking off? Oh, I won't be available Monday and Tuesday at the start of sprint. I'm able to click on the calendar, and I know we're starting the sprint on the 25th. So I'm picking 25th, and I'm also picking 26th because she said she's not going to be available Monday and Tuesday. I'm picking 26. So those 2 days, she's not going to be available. And I'm saying, okay. And you can see that has been recorded over there as the days off for Abimbola. If the whole team has a bank holiday, this is the one you click on to record the bank holiday for the whole team. And that applies to the whole team. You have that there, and you're asking your team members, oh, what is your capacity, per day? How many hours are you doing per day? In a place of work, it could be 7, it could be 6, and you're recording that out there. And what you're doing then is you're setting the capacity for your team. This is the capacity I have for this team. This is the availability, the available time, the available days that my team members are available to work on this team. What this helps you to do is by the time you're doing your sprint planning, and your PO comes and says, oh, I want you to take all these 15 stories in, you knowing your capacity, which you've calculated before the sprint, you're able to negotiate with the PO to say, oh, we don't have that, available capacity. The team members are not available. People have taken time off. It's the summertime and everything. Can we just cut it down to 7? I think the capacity we have will be able to work conveniently with 7. If you take all this 15 in, you overwhelm the people that are working, you won't finish it. And the idea is not for you to take those stories in and not be able to complete them. That's not the whole idea. So you have to shield the team as a Scrum Master, negotiate with the PO and say, okay, let's work with the capacity we have. Which ones are the priority that we need to work on? Those are the ones we take in. And then you can also negotiate to say that if we finish on time and we still have the capacity to take more in, which ones would you want us to take more? You might know that we might not be able to, you're just saying that so that the PO doesn't feel really too bad as if, oh, you're putting your feet down that we can't do this and all that. So you're saying that, oh, we might be able to. I'm just saying that if we have the capacity, at the end of sprint, we would take them in. But for now, can we just take this in? So those are some of the negotiating skills that you want to have with your PO when you're taking stories in, because they're looking at, I need to deliver this for business and all that, but you're looking out for your team. Yes, you want the business to get it, but want to be realistic with it and work with the process, not overwhelming your team members whereby they are not able to deliver, or what they deliver is of low quality because they've worked under pressure. Okay, so once you've put all that there, and then you have the save button at the top there, you click on the save button, and then you're able to save that. Okay, so because we've not moved anything to sprint, and because I've set it from Monday, we can't move anything in. But by the time we're doing the demo tomorrow, we'll be able to take you through what we weren't able to take you through on Tuesday, I think, when we met because of the server that was down. Okay, so that is your sprint board, and that's how you set your sprint in readiness for your sprint planning. Another thing you do also, let me move our story on the board to the approved column. Okay, so I need to do the queries first because this is a new board before I can do that. So let's assume our stories are in approved column. These are the stories that the PO wants us to work on. Okay, and I need my team members to be able to estimate. What thing I want to do is to make sure that they are able to see this. So I go on query. Query again is on your left panel. You can see it underneath the sprint. You have query there. So when you click on that, you're able to run a query. So it's a new board. So I'm doing my query newly. I click on new queries. And then I want to pick the work item type is the user story or the PBI. So this comes by, all right, let me click out of that. This comes by default, okay? So the field is asking you the field, and is asking you, the operator is equal to, what do I want to see in that field? What value do I want to see? So the work item type that we're picking is, we want to pick our user story or product backlog item. Okay, that's your product backlog item. You click on that. In what state do you want it shown when I run this query? Okay, I want it to show in the approved column, the approved state. So I click on approved. And then once I do that, I run it. Now, once you run the query, you will find results coming here if there is something in your approved column. So if there are no stories in the approved column and you come and run your query, once you click on run, it won't bring anything here because there is nothing in that column. If you want to try it, let's pick from a column where we don't have anything. Let me pick new. Okay, and then I run. Okay, I won't get anything because there's nothing in the new column. But because what we wanted to do, because of what we wanted to do, I've put them in the approved column. So don't create an approved column and just move all stories into approved column because of what you want to do. There has to be story ready in the approved column. Okay, and then we run the query. And then it's coming up. So I have to save this query that I've run. So I click on the save query, and then I can just say PBIs in Sorry about that. Okay. So I can just say PBI is in approved, and then the folder you put it on in order for you to be able to see it is the shared query, not on your query. It's the shared query you want to put it on, because that's what you will see in the estimate page. So we put it on the shared queries, and then I click on OK. It has been saved there. Okay, that is done. And then if we now go to the estimate page, in order for us to create the estimate board in readiness for sprint planning, you click on create session. Okay, and then we want to put the session, the title of the session there is sprint 1. You can say sprint 1 estimation. You can leave it at sprint 1. Up to you what you want. You can first say sprint 1 estimation. It's going to be online, not offline, because your team members are remote. And then we want to pick our work items from the query that we have created. So by default, it comes to sprint, but you want to create it from the queries that you have created. And then you click on the drop down. It's going to ask you to select your query. So if we click on the drop down, it's going to bring the shared queries. And that was why we saved it under the shared queries. So if we click on this arrow beside the shared queries, you can see that is what we've saved. PBI is in approved. That's what we've saved, and that's what we want to pick. Okay. And then we come down to the cards. What cards are we using? We normally for our estimation, we use the Fibonacci. For you to know which is which, when you hover over it, it tells you what is what, which is which. Okay, but if you come over here also, it would show you that it's Fibonacci, and then you want to pick that also. Okay, so this is another setting that is optional for you if you want to do it. So what this is saying is, if you enable this toggle, what it's saying is only creator can change work items and commit. Okay, so if you don't want your team members to do it, if you want to be the one to do it, you can enable it. If you want your team members to be able to, you want them to be free to change the work items and all that, you can also click on it. So to change the work item is like, if I allow it and I create, that means I'm the one that can change what they pick in the PBIs. And then you can create these before your sprint plan. You shouldn't be doing this during your sprint plan. These are part of the things as Scrum Masters that you do before your sprint planning, in readiness for that sprint planning, so that you don't waste time during your sprint planning. So that's your estimate page. Another one is your retrospective board. Okay, so for your retrospective board also, we go to the page. They are all in your left panel, and they are all under this board that has the green icon on it. Okay, so you can see retrospective there. So if you click on that, we've clicked on it now, just waiting for it. So it says create the board. So if I click on create the board, it brings up this little page for you, and then you're able to put the title there. So the retrospective we're doing is for what sprint? If it is for sprint 1, we can put sprint 1 retrospective. You can write it out in full, or you can just do sprint 1 retro. Okay, it's up to you. And then definitely by the time you're learning about retrospective and everything, your team members will need to vote, for actions that we want to take. The improvement actions we want to pick, especially if we have a lot of actions, they want to vote for that. So you're able to can increase it per vote per person. You can increase it, you can decrease it, and all that is up to you. If you want to include the team assessment, the team are able to assess, their mood during the sprint and all that, you can leave that checked, and you'll be able to see that. If you want to obscure the feedback of others until after collect phase, you can click that. So this gives you different options of settings that you want to put in place. You can leave that, and then you can just enable the anonymity anonymous, so that they are not able to see what I'm not able to see who typed what. So I can leave that active, so I'm not seeing what every other person has written. What that does is it gives your team members the how will I put it? They're free to put down what they want to put when their names are not there. When the name is there, there's a thing of, I don't want them to know that I'm the one that wrote this, or people are not open enough. to be able to talk, especially when you have new teams that are just going. When you've been working together and you've matured, you can be free, you know, to have constructive discussion during your retro when you're inspecting and reflecting on what you've done. But in initial time, and even with teams that are mature, there are times when they don't put their names. But when they are reading the comment, they say, oh, I put that comment there. Okay. And then they're able to discuss about it. All right, so we can leave all that, and then you have different templates that you can pick from. Okay, so if you click on this drop down, also you see the different templates that you have: drop, add, keep, improve. You can pick on different ones at different times of your sprint, after your sprints, just to see what is there and how you can use it. But the most common one is the what went well, what didn't go well, and then you can add another one to say, what can we improve, or what can we start? So let's add what to start. Okay, so that will be your improvement suggestions that people are putting in place. You want to add another one to just be for your action plans. You want to put another column there for your action plans, and you're free to change all these emojis. Okay, if I click on it, it shows you definitely what went well. You want to put a smiley face for that one. What didn't go well, already you have a sad face. You don't want to pick the angry one, so you can pick the sad face for what didn't go well. And you can see also what went well. The box here is showing you green, so you can change it to whatever you want. What didn't go well, you can see by default it's red. You can leave it at red, that it is. What to start, it's up to you. So you can use either a discussion icon, anything, a book, an eye, anything, you can use it there. Okay, so let's just change that one to that. And then the color also, you can pick any color. You can pick amber, you can pick any color you want. And then action plans, the actions we've put in place, you can use a book to show that, and then change the color also, so we're not using the same color. And that's kind of ready to go for us. You can have all that. So you can customize it, you know, to suit and make it more creative and colorful, because this is a meeting where you relax to discuss. You don't want it to be too rigid, kind of, you know. And then you can save it. So once we save it, that's our retro board. Okay, and with the columns, what went well, what didn't go well, what to start, action plans that we want to put in place. And then for you to add anything to it, all you do is just to click on the plus, and then yada, 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 yada. You are able to type anything you want to put in there and everything. Okay, so let me type it in there. Okay, so we can have good collaboration that we've had tonight. So that's one of our retro for tonight. Yeah, and then once you click out of it, you can see it's not showing my name or anything. And then you can just have different ones. What didn't go well, you can put that. What to start, suggestions and all that. So what we're talking about this night is just creating the board, how the board looks, what you need to do to create the board. I was talking about the team assessments. Okay, so you can use that also. When you click on that, your team members, you can tell them, oh, can you please fill the team assessment? So they're able to come here to say, I clearly understand what is expected of me on this team. And that particular sprint, the person is able to pick what they need to pick, the energy. Please, can we stay muted, please? Hello. Can we stay muted, please?
Adiola, you're not muted, yeah.
Thank you. So you're able to, your team members are able to feel this also. This also helps you to be able to reflect on the mood, you know, the psychological aspect of the team, not just the things the process we worked, or the progress at which we work and everything. You're able to also use this to work on the mood for the team members while we're working, and use that also to improve. By the time as a Scrum Master, you're looking at this and you're seeing that you have a lot of unfavorable and everything. You're looking at what activities can I put in place, you know, to boost my team members' morale and things like that. You're able to use this also, because when they have a good a good morale, they're able to work better. Yeah. Then most times it doesn't even have to do with work. As you can see, there is one here that talks about work-life balance. It might be something, personal that doesn't have to do with work and all that, but this helps you also to be able to relate to your team members. You might have one-on-one session. This is where your empathy skills comes in. You might have one-on-one session with people and everything. You can see confidence there and everything. So if your team members fill this out also, and you look at it later on, is also another one that is anonymous. You see, you can see that all answers to be saved anonymously, so they don't know who has written what. But you looking at that, it helps you to know how best to put activities in place that will help your team boost their morale, or work better. Okay, so that's another one. That's why you can add it, and it's at the top there, which you can tell your team members also to just click on and fill while they are populating their opinions and their comments on this their retrospective board. Okay, before we go further, any questions? I know I've packed a lot of process together, but I just thought we should quickly rush things because of time. Any questions so far before I go to the wiki page and the gallery? Hi, Samuel. Samuel, you have your hands raised.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I would like us to explore the group and the vote and act columns, please.
The what?
I can see where they collect, right?
No. We're not at the collective. Okay, yeah, we're at the collective. Oh, you want to see what the other ones look like? Okay.
Where possible, please.
So yeah. Okay, so why do you want to go into it? I'm just a bit time conscious because let's just do it. We're here already anyway. Okay, so for the group, what you do is let's assume so I've put good team collaboration. I'm going to put another comment there so that you can see how that grouping works. Somebody else has come here and puts in yeah, somebody else has put that there. Okay, they are the same idea, isn't it? And you have a long list running, running all down and everything. So what you do with your grouping is to merge any ideas in the columns. You don't transfer your comments to any other column. So all these columns, all these posting stays for this column. So in this situation, I'm able to group them together. I'm able to drag this one and put it on top of this one. What I'm saying is they're saying the same thing, isn't it? So you're able to group like that. And what that does is in a situation where you have a long list in your column, you're able to shorten it by grouping the comments together. Now, Scrum Masters, you don't do your grouping before the retrospective. You do your grouping during the retrospective. So you do your collect first. You look at all those points and everything and all that, and then you group, and then you discuss your grouping. Okay, so you don't come maybe a day to the sprint. I've come here and I say, oh, this one says great collaboration, that one says great collaboration, let me just move everything together. No, then that is not being visible. Your team members are not there. Remember, this is a collaborative tool. You don't do anything behind them. But by the time you meet together and then you're looking at things, you say, oh, this one says great collaboration, the other one is saying great collaboration, that one is saying great collaboration. Then you can go on your group and group them together. So every team member is there and they are saying it that, oh, all those points are saying the same thing. I don't want to come to the meeting and I can see that there are two items that have been joined together there. And then I'll be asking, sorry, why did we have two items together over there? Because it has been done behind my back. I didn't see what was done. So you do the grouping during your retrospective meeting, okay? And then the votes one is where we put the votes. You can see the votes that I did when I was setting up that board. People are able to vote. So let's assume in our what to start column, which is the improvement column, or what to improve, or an improvement to be put in place, we have about 10 or 20 points. And we want to look at, okay, so out of all these 10 or 20 points, we can't action everything in the next sprint we're going to. What we want to action is, what are those important ones, that we want to action? I can decide to action the first one. We're not interacting. Samuel might decide that no, is that we're not meeting enough. Oh, no, 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 no. Another person can. So we just vote. And the highest votes are the ones we action. And it's a unanimous agreement with the team, even after the voting, to say, oh, this one has the highest vote. Is that what we're saying? Is that what we want to action? Okay, yeah, let's action that. And then you put your action plans in place here. So for you to put your action plans in place here, you have to go back to collect, add your action. If we are saying that, let's meet more, let me just give that as an example. Let's meet more. If that is what we want to action, we put that there. Okay, once that is there, for visibility purpose, we want to create a task or a story out of that action to put on our board so that we don't lose focus of that action that we want to carry out in the next sprint. So that's when you come to your act. So with your act, you can see at the bottom here, it says add work item. If you click on that, if you want it to be a backlog item, we're able to click on it, and you'll see what it will do now. So it creates a work item for you straight, and you can see that the work item it has created, it has put it here. It says created by retrospective. It will give you the information. Yeah, and then you can see the description. Let's meet more. It's put it there. Okay, so if your title also can mirror your description, and you can just put your title as more meetings or more team meetings. Okay, in order for my developers and QAs not to think this is a story that we're developing for the project, I normally put retro in front of it to differentiate it. Okay? I'll just put retro in front of it over there, and then I'll put whatever it is. Who is actioning this? So it might be the Scrum Master. We want the Scrum Master to be the one, to action this. Then you're coming here and making sure you are assigning it to the Scrum Master. And then you save and close, and that goes. You can see that it's going into sprint 1. If I don't want it in sprint 1, I want it to be at the backlog. And all you have to do is just click on the drop down and then take it to the backlog. The name of your team is always your backlog. So just click on that. It takes it to the backlog so that it doesn't confuse those that are working in the sprint or in the next sprint and all that. Normally, because your retro action, remember, you want to do it in the next sprint. That was why it put it automatically into sprint 1. So if this had been the end of sprint 1 and we want to do, there is an action we're looking for sprint 2, it will have automatically put it in sprint 2. But if you don't want it to, like I said, confuse the people that are working, your developers and everything, wondering, well, what story is this again and everything, you can just put it in your backlog. But the Scrum Master, you make sure you keep an eye on it. Some put it on their sprint and make sure that they keep an eye on it. So it's up to you how you want to do it, or how your team has put in the team charter that you should deal with any action that comes from your retro. And you're creating that, and as you can see, it's added that action at the bottom over there. Okay, so those are what all these different stages that you have there of that process. Those are what they are for. Your collect is where you complete your comments and you leave it there. The grouping, I've told us what it has to do. The voting, what you do, and then what you do with your acting also. Okay, hope we're clear on that. Okay, so quickly we just want to go to how we create our wiki page, what our wiki page is for, why do we need to have a wiki page, and what are the kind of things that we put also on our wiki page. So your wiki page is where you share information. And for you to get to your wiki page, again, your left panel is your navigation palette to different pages that you have on your project board. Okay, so your wiki page is always under your overview. So remember, everything we've been doing since has been on the main board, this main board. That's where we have everything. For you to go to the overview also, if you click on overview, it closes up the board for you, and then it opens up everything under overview. So through your overview is where you get to your dashboard, which we're going to get to. Let's finish the wiki page and then we'll go to the dashboard. So for your wiki page, this is the wiki. You can see it here. If you click on it, it takes you to the page. Okay, and because we've not created anyone, we can just create project wiki. So if you click on that, so it's created the wiki for us. So what is the page title? What do we want to have on the page title? I can put our project name there and say September Guru Team Information. We can have that there. September Guru. That's a page. We can have that there, or you can just leave it as September Guru Team. It's up to you what you want to. And then I save. I come here and I save it. So the wiki page gives you a back-end, front-end view. So let me close this one. So I've saved it, I've closed it, and you can see it set it there. September Guru's Team. That was why I didn't want to put the information there. So that is the home for our wiki page. Now, if I want other pages to come underneath this one, what I click on is the ellipsis, there's 3 dots. If you click on that, it opens this little page for you and it's saying add sub page, and that is what I want to do. Okay, so I'll add a sub page. It opens up. What do I want on this sub page? And now I can now have my team information. And under the team information, I want to list the name of every team member. Okay, so I want to put my my PO as DG. I want to put my SM as G. I want to put my BA. Sorry about that. I want to put my, that's where you have, where you store most of your information. Okay, I want to have my BA as Lulu. I want to have my developer as Abimbola. I want to have my keywords as allow me. Okay, and I have another keyword, or I have more than one developer. And you can see the more I'm typing here, it's showing here. So this is the back end and this is the front end. Okay, so I can have all my team members there. I can decide to have my project mandate, information about the project mandate. You can decide to have that there also. Okay, whatever it is, I list it at the bottom there. I can list that project vision, every information that has to do with your team is stored on your wiki. So your wiki is where you share information with your team members regarding the project. So if I do save over here, I've saved it. If I close it, the only part you will see is the front aspect. If I want to edit anything, I want to add more, I want to reduce and all that, all I do is I come to edit over here. If I click on edit, it opens up the page for me, and then I'm able to, you can't add anything in front here. Where you add things is at the back here. So you can have your team information. You can add another page. Remember, when you want to add page is the home one where you add the page. I can add another page for your team charter. You've created your team charter and you want to put the information there. You can have your team charter, list everything again you want to write here. It shows over here. You save it. If you don't have anything to write yet, you can create the pages and come back at any other time to edit and put anything you have to put there and everything. And you can see it lists all the pages you have on your wiki page where you have all the information. You can create a BA repository there, a page for the BAs to put all their informations on, maybe their wireframe. You can create a page for the QAs for their repository where they're able to share the information, about the pipelines, the test strategy, the test plans and everything. They're able to put it there for the team. It's just like a library for the team. As a Scrum Master, you have good information, Scrum process information that can help the team, what the Agile principles are, what the Scrum values are. Create a page there and just put Scrum things. Give it, a creative with the name you give it, and put all the information there where your team members can go to, to refresh their mind, about Agile, about Scrum also. That's what you do with your wiki page. Do we have any questions before we go on the dashboard? Okay, so for the dashboard, your dashboard is just at the top of your wiki page. Okay, so when you click on dashboard, again, you can see we don't have anything on it. This is our dashboard. We've allowed the creation and allowed the editing, but like I said, we didn't do the delete. Okay, so to add a widget, if we have to set our dashboard, what other things we want to see on our dashboard? So if you click on that, it gives you this, it opens up this for you. Okay, and as a Scrum Master, you want to put things that will help you to measure the progress and the process of your team member. So you want to add your burn down. So if you click on it, it's a light. You have to click on add for it to come on your board. You can see it's coming on the board. If you scroll down more, okay, any other thing, if you want to see your burn down charts, add it to it. You want to see your, let's see, what else can we add onto it? As another sprint bundle, is up to you if you want to add that. They give different information. Your sprint capacity, if you want to add that. Your sprint goal widget, you want you to show what your sprint goal is, you're able to add that. You want to have kind of an overview of your team members, you can add that to it. Let's just add those few ones. Now, assuming that I've added everything, I've looked at this list, there's something I can't find on this list and I want it on a dashboard, you can also go to the extension gallery. You can see it says here, don't see a widget, explore the extension gallery. So it's taking you to the extension gallery for, when you click on that, it takes you to the extension gallery for Azure DevOps. Bear with me with my system. Okay, so that's the extension gallery for Azure DevOps. Remember, it has Visual Studio, it has other things, but what we're looking for is the Azure DevOps. And whatsoever you're looking for, you're able to, type it in. If you want your Azure DevOps to open on Excel, you can see, to be connected to Excel and everything and all that. So make sure it's something that the organization can work with. Make sure it's not something that would lead, especially the things you can pick are the things you can see that they are free, and you just don't come here to pick things for picking sake. It has to be something that the team members need and they need to work with. Okay, so like all the estimates and retrospective boards you're seeing were picked also from the Azure board, and they've been added to the project by other people that have worked on it. That's why we can see it and use it. So if you don't have anything to get on the wiki and everything, we can just come out of that and go back to our dashboard. Okay, so if we put everything we need to put, we can just do done editing to close up that panel on the right, and then you can see everything that we've added. Now, you can't, most of the things you can see, okay, for the ones with my team, you can see my team members are there. All the list of my team members, they are there already, because we've not set the sprint. We're not saying the sprint capacity. Once anything is done in real time on your board, it comes here with the widgets you've created and you're able to see it. If we've set the sprint goal, this will be showing the sprint goal for us. Okay, if the burn down is not showing anything because we've not started a sprint yet. So when all that is set and everything and you start the sprint, you're able to come here and then you're able to add your widget, and at the corner on the right, you'll see this ellipsis again. If you click on it, it tells you to configure. So when you click on configure, it opens this box for you, and with this box, you're able to configure your widget. Now we can't do that configuration because, like I said, we don't have the information here. We've not moved anything, we've not committed anything into sprint because we set our sprint to start on Monday, so we're not able to put anything. But this is where you come to pick your things. You can put your sprint one. Instead of having this here, you can just say sprint one burn down. Yeah, you can just put that in there. You can see that's the team is talking about your team. What item, what work item do you want to work with. You're able to open this drop down. If you open it, you're able to pick, is it your backlog item that you want to work on? Is it your, and then what do you want to, how do you want the burn down to show? Is it the sum of remaining work, or you want it to do count of work items? Then here also you're able to set your iteration. Like I said, we don't have anything yet, so it's not going to pick anything for us because we don't have any iteration, at work yet. Okay, as you can see, it's telling us that we're able to put the dates there. I'm just using this to show us how we can, configure the burn down chart. You put the dates there, and then the advanced feature. What do you want to see? You want it to show you the total scope. You want it to show you. We know we're working 7 days, but if you want it to show you the non-working days, you're able to pick it. If you want it to show the color for your work item, you're able to pick it. And once all those things are picked, this would definitely be activated, and you can click on it and then save what you've done, and then your burn down charts or your matrix starts reading real time for you. Anything that is going on the main board is being shown also on your dashboard, on your matrix that has been created. So that is your dashboard, your wiki and your dashboard, which you can find. Remember, it's in your overview that you can find it. Do we have any questions on those ones before we go further? And then we'll just take the advanced aspect, which is the last aspect. I would have said we'll do it another time, but you will need to start creating your board, and then we don't want to come back to, like I said, configuring that is going to destruct things after you start doing that. Hi, Kemi.
Hi, Moji. I've got a quick question about the work items. I noticed that one of the options is impediments. Is there an option to track risks on the Azure board if they arose, or is that something you would track separately as the
for an ADM and APM, you will have to have another tool which can be your Excel document to track your risk and your impediments log. You can create an impediments log to track the impediments that the team have. And definitely you can also use your Excel documents to track your risk, your RAG status and all that. It won't be on your Azure DevOps board.
So things like risks or any external dependencies will be on the Excel log, not on
Yes, and you use that to give your reports to your stakeholders or the business.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome, Kemi. Okay, quickly, we're just going to go to the last aspect, which again, we need to go to our project settings. Okay, so before we go there, this is what are the advanced aspects that we want to go and do. What we want is, okay, let me go back here. I need the board. Okay, so what we have right now is you can see the retro story that we created that we've put in the backlog. So what we have right now is when the stories are in BA, the state is showing new, isn't it? BA done, it will show new until it gets to committed when it turns to blue, okay, at committed. What the advanced configuration we want to go and do now is we want a situation where when my story is in BA, instead of showing me new, I want it to be showing me in BA. When it is in BA done, I want it to be showing me in BA done. Even though you have your board column showing that. Even let's assume we didn't have this board column option. I want my state to be changing as I go along in the board, to be showing me the board I'm in, rather than showing me either new, committed, and then done. And the way we do that is we go to our project settings. Okay, so once we are in our project settings, we want to go to our process, our inherited process, but that's our process, let's call it that. And where we come to is our stories there. Now, where we want to start seeing that change is in the backlog item, isn't it? Is in the product backlog items in the field that we've created. That's where we want to see that. So that's what we want to click on, because that's where we want to do the configuration. So once you open it, this is the layout, yeah, of your product backlog item. If we need to add, let's assume I want to add another layer. If my team members are saying, oh, as a BA, I want to be able to, put my name inside the story so that they know that I'm the BA that worked on it. For the workforce out there, you have just one BA per team. But here in Blue Sky, because it's an internship, you have more than one BA so that we can accommodate a lot of people to get the practical aspects of things, okay? So if your team member has come to you as a Scrum Master to say, oh, can you please create another field, another layout, on the product backlog item that we can see. What we want to do is you click on the new field, and it's asking you what field do you want. If there's an existing field that you want to duplicate, you're just able to click on use an existing field to do what you need to do. If it's a new field that you need to create, you're coming here and saying, okay, so new field. So in this one, let's assume that my BA is asking for a field where they want to put their name and everything. So for this one, we've had different people using BA, so I wouldn't use BA. I know a lot of people have used business analyst also and all that. So let's try and see if we use that, because once somebody has used something, it might not pick it. Then what you can do is you can use an existing field. You can always also use an existing field. So even if a BA field has been used before, in our own also, I can say use an existing field, and I want to look for that existing field that I want it to use. Okay. So if I check over here, I should be able to see BA. Like I said, then you can pick it that, oh, I want to see that BA field also, in my own. It's an existing field that has been used before, and I'm able to pick it. And if I do add field, you can see it has added it. It's added over there. Okay. And then I'm able to, by the time we go back to the board, you will be able to see it. If you need another field also, if the keywords also want to be able to see their own field, okay, as a keyword also, I want my name, to be able to show and all that. You can start typing if you don't want to scroll. By the time you put keyword, anything that has to do with keyword, it will bring it up for you. Okay, and then you're able to put that also in there. Okay, and then once you put that, add the field also, and you can see it's added there. If the developer also wants their own field and everything, you're able to add it. So let's add for the developer also, and then when we go to the story later on, we're able to see. So like I said, okay, sorry, we're not creating new, we're using existing that are there already. If you create new, if you do keyword, to tell you that it's existing already. So that's why it's better for you to just pick the existing one. Okay, so if it's DA also, you can see, we can pick the DA also to say, oh, this is the DA that worked on this particular story. If it's the developer that you want, you're able to pick dev, depending on who you want, and you're able to add that. Let's add for the DAs also so that it doesn't look as if we're being partial. Okay, so you can see those are all the different fields that you can add that are not there before, and you're customizing your own story, your product backlog item to have it. But the one we want to look at also is the state. We want to look at the state. Okay, so by default, these are the states we have. When we created the board, that was what we had. We had new, when we created the board, that's what we have by default. The new, the approved, the committed, the done, and then there's a removed there also. Now we want to add more states to it. I want to have a state for the in BA, BA done, in QA, and all that. I want to add them to it. So you come to the state, and then again you add new states. So when I click on new state, it gives me a box. What state do I want to add in? It's in BA. So I'm able to type what I want in there. I want a state for the BAs to be in BA. Okay. Now the category is going to be different. So you remember your BAs, they work at the backlog. So it can't be in progress. In progress will be for something that is committed, and that's why it's showing you blue. Okay, so if you open this backlog, if you open the drop down, you can pick proposed, and that's the one that takes it back to the backlog, and then I'm able to create it. So it stays with new, and you can see it's staying with new and approved on that side. And then if I click another one for BA done, if you have for BA done, again, don't forget to always change it to propose, because it's not as if they're not working on it, because they are proposing those stories for the product owner to approve. Okay, and then that's the BA done, approved. Okay, so the next one after committed is the dev, in dev. Okay, so we want to quickly create that. In dev will be in progress now, because once it's past committed, it's in progress. So we want to leave that as in progress. Another state for the dev done. As in progress also. Then we want to create for in QA. Is in progress also. QA done. Gosh, made a mistake with that one. Let me edit it. No. I have to delete that one. It's saying QA again. Remove, and then we'll do it again. Remove. Okay, so we just create another one for QA done. Yeah. Then we have for in UAT still in progress. And then the last one would be our UAT done. Also still in progress. Okay, remember that's for our product backlog. So we've put all those columns there because that is the state we want our user stories to be showing when they are in that state. Okay, so once we've done that for the product backlog, we want to go back to our process, and we want to pick our bug also, because we want to do some customization on the bug also. So I'm not going to do anything to the layout. We're just going to go to the state. Okay, so for our state, when our bug, we want to create for our bug, we want it to be active when it's in progress. We want the state to show active when it is in progress, and we want to change the color to red. You know, it's a bug, so we want to change the color to red. That when it's inactive, we want it to be red. I like that red. I prefer a darker one. Yeah, better. Okay. So we've added that, and then when it is completed, we want it to say closed. Okay, so we closed there, and we want our close to be green as the done one. Okay, and that's not when it is in progress. Okay, still when it is in progress, I'll show you when we get on the board what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve with that. So we've done that. We've done all the configuration we want to do to our work item state, and then we can now go back to our project. Okay, so to go back to your project, all you need to do is, after doing all this, to go back to your project. Two ways where you can go back to your project is either through your process, or you can just come to the project here and go back to it. But if you go through the process, you come to project here, and then you just click on your project. Okay, so it takes us back, and then we go to our board now to see what we've gone to do on the settings. I'm just going to show us what we've gone to do, and I'm going to create a box so that we'll see that box one also. Okay, so you can see that the stories that we've moved to the approved column before is brought everything back. So that's why it's better to do all your configuration, your customization before your team member starts working. You can see that everything we've moved. Imagine if all stories have been put in dev, in QA and everything, and you do the the configuration or customization after that, it will just move all your stories out. So you want to do it before, not after. Okay, so once that has been done now, okay, the next thing we need to do, we need to go and change things on our configuration setup for the board. Okay, so if we go there, we go to our columns, that's where we go to change things. When they are in new, they're still going to be new, okay? But when they're in BA, what we're saying is I want my state mapping to change. So your bugs will not come to BA because BAs don't deal with bugs, okay? So the ones we want to change when our stories are in BA is the product backlog item, which is our user story. We didn't have all this before. Is what we've gone to do, customization that we've gone to do that brought this in. Remember when we came here before, we didn't have all this. So we want to say, when my story is in BA, I want the state mapping to be showing BA. When my story is in BA done, I want my story to be showing BA done, the state to be BA done. When it is in approved, is approved by default, so nothing is going to happen to that. When it is in committed, is committed by default, so we're not going to change that. So for your in-depth now is when we begin to change both the bug and the story. So we're saying the bug also, I want my bug to be showing active. Okay, that was what we created when we're doing the customization. When the bug is in dev, I want it to be showing active, but I want my user story to be showing in dev. And then when it is in dev done, I want my bug to still be showing active, because even though the developer has worked on it, the QA still needs to check, but my story should be showing dev done. Just gonna move a lot. And then in QA, my bug is still showing active. Yes, because they're still checking it. And then my product backlog item is showing in QA. When my bug is in QA done, yeah, because it's now passing and everything is okay with it. Developer has fixed this, I've retested, everything is okay. I want it to show closed. And then I want my story to show QA done. My bug doesn't need to get to UAT because the BA won't carry out UAT on it. So I still want it to show close in case it finds itself there. But once it's closed, really, is either the QA takes it to done, or the QA really, because you're supposed to be self-organizing to take it to done. And then in UAT, we want our stories to be showing in UAT. UAT done. Let's make the bug also closed in case it finds itself there. It shouldn't really. And then the UAT is also showing done. And then we know the last one is by default done. And once we've done this, we can save it. And then I can show you what happens on the board now that we've done that. So all the stories you can see, they've all come back here. Okay, I'm just going to take one of them. All right, let me quickly create a bug also, just to show how that one works across. I'm just going to name it not working. Okay. Okay, so for the bug, let me use the bug first. So when the bug is, I remember I said the BAs don't work with the bug. Okay, we can approve a bug to go into the sprint to work on it. You can see the state mapping is showing approved now. Okay, which before was showing new, and then in committed it's still showing committed. Now let's see what happens when we take it to in dev. What we said it should show is active and red. Okay, when it is in dev. Okay, and then when it gets to dev done, it's still showing the same thing, active and red. In QA, active and red. And it gets to QA done, it shows closed and green. That means I've worked on it, I've retested it, it's showing. So even if it finds its way into in UAT, what we've done is it should still be showing closed. Is to still be showing closed before it gets to the done column to say that, oh, I've closed that bug. Okay, so that's for the bug. Let's quickly see the journey of the work item also. So over here, you can see it's showing your MBA. Here also MBA, the color is still gray because it's still at the backlog. Approved also is still at your backlog, so it's still showing gray. And then when it gets to committed, it's changed to blue. That means is live now. It's committed, is active, we're working on it. Okay, and then when it goes to in-dev, it shows in-dev. When it goes to dev done, it shows dev done. Some team would do theirs that they want their state mapping when it is in committed to be showing active and not, the name of the column. It depends. Some have review columns on their board and they want their stories to be showing review when it is in that column. So it depends. And that's why, again, we have the inherited processes. So in QA done, it shows you your QA. In QA done, it shows you your, QA done, and then it moves on like that. In UAT done, and then you have the last one showing you're done. Okay, so that's the advanced one that I just want to show us, so that when we're configuring and customizing our board, we would have done it prior to our team members working on it. And that takes us to the end of the Azure DevOps setup. Any questions? I know there are loads of questions. I can see 12 chats. I'm thinking those are questions. So I need to stop sharing to come and check those questions and try and see if I can quickly answer some of them. Does anybody need me to still stay on the board to show one or two things before I stop sharing to pick the questions that are in the chats? Rose, I saw you raising your hands. Do you want to ask a question?
Oh, it was a mistake.
Hello? Okay, I'm just going to stop sharing. That's okay with everyone. Thank you so much for your time this night. Okay, I just want to go on the chat to see the questions we have there, then try and quickly see if I can run through them. Okay, so that's an answer for Isaiah. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm just going to pick just questions alone. Okay. Okay, so somebody is asking, okay, it says, can we decide to use the default process for our project, or we are required to create the inherited process? A good question. I would tell you to practice using the inherited process, because when you go to the workforce out there, you will be expected to use the inherited process. Each organization have different inherited process. So if you don't familiarize yourself with it, practice with it, when you get the job, how will you use it? Because you would have told them, oh, I use this tool, I use that tool, and you're coming on board, they are asking you, oh, Scrum Master, we need this. How would you use it if you don't practice it? Yes, you can leave it at the default, but the whole process of showing you the board setup and all that is for you to get used to the configuration and the customization that you will find when you get to the workforce out there. So why do you want to leave it in the default state? That would be my question. I hope that is clear. And then I have another question. Must we create, okay, the same thing. Must we create an inherited process for all the projects, or is it optional? Okay, so for some organization, it can be optional. For some organization, even the inherited process is created by the administrator. It might not even be the Scrum Master that is doing it. Okay, for some organizations, some advanced organization, big organizations, I know that they have some teams that they call the platform teams. They are the ones that do all that. Even when the Scrum Master needs it for their own team, they might need to go to them to say, oh, my team needs this and that, because they don't want everybody having permission, everybody having that administrative access, and then they're going to do different things and all that. It could be costing the organization also money, to put different things, to do different things. So the team that is aware of it, the platform team that is aware of what they've subscribed to with Microsoft, want to be the one in charge doing that. So you can have that. But what if you start with an organization that is just starting Agile from scratch, and they know that you're a Scrum Master, you know what to do, you know how to create the project and all that? You want to be sure that you know what you know. and have that skills in place in order to be able to do that. Like I said, it might not be Azure DevOps that you're using, it might be Jira, it might be other things, but what you familiarize yourself and you know on this one helps you to know what you do. Like I said, they are similar to each other, might not be the same thing, but quite similar to each other. And you just want to put yourself in that place that you have the skill to be able to do what you need to do, because you are, like I said, the project board administrator. Okay. Okay. Yeah, somebody says this is a lot to take in. Yes, that's why we've recorded it, so that you have the videos to go to. I'm not expecting everybody to get everything this night. Don't get me wrong, but it's a training that we need to go through, and it's a thing that you can watch the video over and over again until you familiarize yourself with it. Let me also put your mind at rest. Chioma, can you mute, please? Thank you. And another thing you can do, another thing why I love Azure DevOps is there is a free version. So you can create your own.
I've been changing it.
Hi, Chioma, you're muted. Sorry, you're muted. Okay, you're muted now. So you can create your own version, create your own organization, create your own project, and start practicing this thing on it, so that you don't come on the blue sky organization and break things and all that. It's free. There's a free version for Microsoft. You just create your own organization and use the video, to learn all these things and all that. Somebody was asking earlier on to say that if we are more than one Scrum Masters, how do we all, if I can use the word, get our hands dirty, be able to practice it, know that, oh, I know how to do this and everything. Create your own, set up your own free version, have your own, is your personal one and everything, and practice all these things on it, in order to learn it, get better with it also. Hi, Samuel. Hello, Samuel. You have your hands up.
Oh, thank you. So I've tried setting up my organization on Azure DevOps, and I think that there's a place where it says filling something like tax. Is it tax something?
Yeah. So it's because we've not created a sprint. You should be able to see that when we do the demo tomorrow. There is a place where you create your task. So you take the story into the sprint, like we've had taken that. Let's assume all those stories, we took them into the sprint. The developer is going to work on it. The tester is going to work on it. The QA is going to work on it. So they're going to create their task against the story to say, in this particular story, this is what I'm doing. I'm developing this feature. In this particular story, as a QA, this is what I'm doing. I'm carrying out a manual test, and I'm also carrying out an automation test. So there is a task work item that we need to create. Yeah, but when we do the demo tomorrow night, you'll be able to see all that. We would take you through that process. Is that clear, Samuel?
Thank you so much. You're so
welcome.
elaborate.
You're welcome. Any other question before we call it a night?
Please, what time is the demo tomorrow night?
I think admin would reach out to you on that one. I'm not sure what the time is, but admin would normally put the notice on your platform so that you're aware. Okay. Do we have any other question from anyone?
I've got a question. Aside from the burn down charts, are there any other reports that can be run off the board?
Yeah, so you can get your burn down chart there. You can get your velocity chart also from the board.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Do we have any other question, or are we good to go? Like I said, I know it's a lot to take in, but please believe me, you would get there. Okay. The first time I heard everything also was like somebody speaking a language I don't understand, but after a while, I created my own personal Azure, in order to learn how to do it. I didn't sleep and wake up and be able to do all those things I'm doing, but you can get there. If I can do it, you can do it. And I'm not a tech person at all. Okay. So Grace, Hi, Grace.
Hi. I don't know, maybe I missed it, but just to be clear, this all of this that we've seen you do tonight, are we all expected to? I mean, I know it's mainly for the Scrum Masters who are in charge of the Azure DevOps and creating and all of that. So are they the ones who need to create their own boards, their own dashboards, or we all have to do this?
Okay, let me ask a question before I answer your question. What is your role, Grace?
I'm a DA.
Okay, good. All right. So as a DA, the Scrum Masters, if answering your question first, the Scrum Masters are the ones to create the board. The Scrum Masters are the ones to set up the board and all that. The Scrum Masters are not the ones to write the stories. The BAs are meant to write the stories. So for a BA being in this training tonight, they have a shared understanding. They know now how to create their story. They know how to link their epics, the feature, and the stories together. Okay, so as a DA also in this project, you're seen as you will be seen working as a developer. You'll be expected to create a story, not the board, not create the project board, but you'll be expected to create a DA story that you're going to work on, so that your progress is also visible to your team and is being tracked. So you being on this training is also beneficial to you because you know where what is. If you have not been here and you were told maybe during your sprint one by your PO to say, I want all the DAs to create the story of what they are working on and everything, you won't need to rely on your Scrum Master, or calling your Scrum Masters to say, oh, come and tell me how to do it. I don't know how to do it. Even if you don't know how to do it per se, you've seen, you're familiarized yourself with what is what on the board. It's not new to you. It's not strange to you. By the time you get on the board and you're able to access your projects, but you know what is what, you know what the columns are. Okay, so Scrum Masters, when you're creating, I'm not saying that is what you'll be expected to do. So you might need to configure a board also for your DAs to have their DA in DA and DA done for what they would be doing, because definitely they won't be working on the stories that the developer and the testers are working on, but they might need their own columns also for feasibility of what they're doing. Okay, so but Grace, the Scrum Master won't, even if they create that columns for you, they won't be the one to write the stories for you. You will be writing your own DA stories yourself. So you being on this training is also beneficial to you.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, IJ.
So Moji, what you are saying is that the Scrum Master creates the columns according to the people in her team.
Depends. Like I said, if that is what Deji wants you to do, okay. So if he wants the DAs to work with the team, because you have DAs in your team, isn't it? And they are not going to be doing coding, developing of software and all that. But there will be some assignments that are given to them, some things they want them to do, and Deji wants to see that visible on the project board. So he might expect you to create a column for your DAs.
I'm saying in an organization now.
Even in an organization, okay, so for an organization, it works differently. So for an organization, it might just have the developer and the tester. Most organizations have DA projects that are separate, but there are times also when you have your DAs working in your project. If you're working with a project that has to do a lot with data, okay, you're developing a software that is going to use data a lot. They're developing a software for maybe NHS, they have data and everything. So you need your data analyst to be on that project to tell you, oh, this is the way the data should be showing, you shouldn't show this and that and everything. And they're working with the team, isn't it? And they might need to. Okay, so in that situation, it might not be on the main board that they need to create. It might be them creating tasks against the story or having their own DA story. But you have DAs also working with project teams, depending on what the project is all about. It might not just be software, we're creating a website or things like that. Even with the website, you have data going on website, content going on website that you want your analysts to be able to analyze properly before it goes out to the customers. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. We would put a stop to it by 20 minutes after 11. So if we don't have any other questions, Naomi, you're free to stop the recording so that we don't have it too so long and so cumbersome.
Wow, me stop. Oh, my head is spinning me.